नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है। और आज मंगलवार है, ट्यूसडे। तो आपको सबको पता है कि ट्यूसडे का जो दिन होता है वो हनुमान जी के लिए समर्पित होता है। तो हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे भगवान जी की पूजा करके। तो आज हनुमान जी की पूजा से अपना दिन आरंभ करेंगे। और सबसे अच्छी बात यह है कि हम जो हनुमान जी की पूजा है वो हम हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ के करेंगे। ठीक है जी। तो चलिए आप हमारे साथ पढ़िए। और हर मंगलवार को आप भी अपना दिन शुरू करें तो पहले हनुमान जी की पूजा स्तुति करके करें। तो ठीक है जी, हम हनुमान चालीसा का पाठ शुरू कर रहे हैं। तो आप हाथ जोड़ के हमारे साथ भी इसका पाठ करें। ठीक है। श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निजमन मुकुर सुधार, वर्णव रघुवर बिमल जसु, जो दायक फल चार। बुद्धिहीन तनु जान के, सुमरो पवन कुमार। बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहे, हरेउ कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमत के संगी। कंचन वरन विराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र ओ ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करवे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनवे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरी सिंह दिखावा, विकट रूप धरी लंग जरावा। भीम रूप धरी असुर सहारे, रामचंद्र जी के काज संवारे। लाए सजीवन लखन जी आए, श्री रघुवीर हर्ष उर लाए। रघुपत कीनी बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई। सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावे, अस कही श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादि ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाँ थे, कवि कोविद कह सके कहाँ थे। तुम उपकार सुग्रीव वही कीना, राम मिलाए राजपद दीना। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्त्र जोजन पर भानु, लीलियो ताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेल मुख माही, जलधि लांग गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवाले, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे। सब सुख लहें तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन ते सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हाँकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके का सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लाए, सोई अमित जीवन फल पाए। चारों जोग प्रताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्धि जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवाले, असुर निकंदन राम दुआरे। अस सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुमरे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुमरे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित न धरई, हनुमत से ही सब सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गुसाई, कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सतपार पाठ कर कोई, छूटे ही बंदी महासुख होई। जो ये पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होए सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजिए नाथ हृदय में डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूरत रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसव सुर भूप। जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम। तो दोस्तों, आज हमारी भगवान की पूजा स्तुति समाप्त हुई। हमने हनुमान जी की हनुमान चालीसा को आज का पाठ किया। तो आप भी हर मंगलवार को इसका पाठ करके अपना दिन शुरू करें। तो हम अपना दिन चालू करते हैं, मिलते हैं जल्द ही दूसरे वीडियो में। आपका दिन मंगलमय हो। नमस्कार। हेलो फ्रेंड्स एंड नमस्कार। something very serious is happening in the automotive industry, more specifically with Honda. I'm sure all of us are Honda fan. Even if you're not Honda fan, then this information is still worthy for you to know. In a historic and shocking financial update, Honda Motors Corporation has just posted its first annual loss in nearly 70 years, reporting a staggering $9 billion deficit, which is equal to about 1.45 trillion yen in EV related charges. In this video, we dive deep into the collapse of Honda's aggressive EV only strategy and its sudden massive pivot back to hybrid technologies. Let us go and discuss this further. For nearly 70 years, Honda has been the gold standard of reliability. Since they first listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange in the year 1957, they have survived oil crises, global recessions, and shifting consumer tastes without ever posting an annual net loss until now. On May 14th, 2026, the unthinkable happened. Honda Motors Company reported a staggering $9 billion loss tied to its aggressive push into electric vehicles. To put that in perspective, that is not just a bad year, that was a historic industry shaking reversal. Just 3 years ago, Honda was the poster child for all in EV movement. They pledged to stop selling gas cars entirely by 2040. They partnered with tech giants like Sony. They committed billions to massive battery plants in Ohio and Ontario. But today, those plans are in tatters. Projects are being cancelled. CEOs are taking pay cuts, and the EV surge that was supposed to carry Honda into the future has instead driven them into a $9 billion wall. Is this the end of Honda as we know it, or is it a master stroke of survival once again? So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further with our analysis. Today we are breaking down exactly what went wrong and the hybrid lifeline Honda is desperately grabbing to save itself. Let's look at the numbers because they are brutal. Honda operating loss for the fiscal year ending March 2026 was approximately 414 billion yen. For those of you following markets, that's a massive swing from 1.2 trillion yen profit they saw just a year earlier. Where does the money go? It wasn't because the people stopped buying Hondas. In fact, if you strip away the EV investment, their core business and motorcycles and the traditional engines was actually profitable. The $9 billion loss comes from the restructuring charges. And therefore, there are several things that Honda is forced to do. First is write-off. Honda spent billions of building molds, designing software-defined platforms, and setting up the production line for their new 0 Series EV. Number 2 is the cancellation. When they realized that the demand wasn't there, they had to walk away. They cancelled Honda 0 SUV and the Acura RSX EV. Third is the supply chain. Because they had already made deals with supplier, they now owe billions in compensation for parts they no longer want. And this is what the analysts call a software-defined reality check. Honda tried to build a smartphone on wheels to compete with Tesla's and Chinese brand like BYD, but they found they couldn't do it profitably. You might be asking why now? Why not 2 years ago? The answer lies in the perfect storm of politics and consumer behavior. In September 2025, the US landscape shifted dramatically. The second administration of President Donald Trump moved quickly to scrap EV tax credit. Suddenly, that 7,500 dollar incentive that made an electric Honda look affordable was gone. At the same time, new tariffs on the imported part made building EV even more expensive. Honda's leadership admitted they misread the room. They expected the US market to stay EV hungry forever. Instead, consumer did something unexpected. They started buying hybrids in record numbers. Even more painful was the situation in China. Honda's official report was refreshingly honest and a bit sad. They admitted they were unable to deliver products that offer value for money better than newer EV manufacturers. In short, they were being out engineered and outpriced in the world's biggest EV market. The most visible sign of this retreat is in North America. For years, Honda had been touting its Zero Series, the lineup that would define the brand for the 21st century. As of today, 15 billion EVs value chain project in Ontario, Canada has been put on indefinite hold. This wasn't just a factory, it was supposed to be an entire ecosystem from battery materials to assembly. Then there is Sony Honda partnership as well. Remember the Afila? It was a high-tech EV collaboration that was going to use Sony's entertainment system. That project has also hit a massive roadblock, with development and sales effectively halted. To show this severity, Honda's board members are forfeiting their bonuses and the senior executives are taking 25% to 30% pay cuts. This is a company in survival mode. So, what is the plan now? Honda isn't going out of business. They are, performing a massive tactical retreat to higher ground. The ultra efficient hybrid. Instead of 100% EV by 2040, Honda has pivoted. They are now launching 15 new hybrid models globally by 2029. They are focusing on what America and the Indian buyers actually want: large D-segment SUVs and mid-sized sedans that don't need a charging station. They are even retooling their EV battery plants to make smaller, cheaper hybrid batteries instead. What is the goal? The goal to return to the record high profit of 8.9 billion by fiscal year 2029. They are also leaning on their unsung heroes, the motorcycle division. While the car side was bleeding money, Honda's motorcycles, especially in India and Vietnam, are seeing massive growth. In many ways, the humble two-wheeler is subsidizing the survival of the four-wheeler division. So back to our original question. Now, is this the end of Honda? Well, if you mean the end of Honda as an EV only visionary, then definitely yes. That dream is over for now. They have scrapped the targets, cancelled their projects, and paid 9 billion, tuition fee to learn a hard lesson about the market reality. But as a car company, they might be their most important moment since 1957. By admitting they were wrong, by being the decisive CEO, and Honda is trying to reclaim its clarity among the total disruption. They are betting that the future isn't the surge of electric cars, but steady hybrid middle path. So friends, what do you think about this move? Is Honda being smart by retreating, or are they falling behind for good? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you feel. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. I am CK. Thanks for watching Akulmach World. I will catch you again in the next one. But before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, the month was June, year was 2024. NASA's Curiosity rover accidentally crushed a rock in the Gale crater on Mars, revealing something scientists never expected, and that was pure elemental sulfur. While sulfur is common on Mars in compounds, finding it in its native form has a massive implication, not just for Martian geology, but for how we understand the resource scarcity on Earth. Let us go and discuss this further. Nearly 2 years ago, in month of June, NASA Curiosity rover was doing what it does best, exploring the channels in the Gale crater. It was just another day on the red planet until the rover 6-ton frame rolled over a seemingly ordinary rock. The rock cracked, but instead of a usual red dust, Curiosity camera sent back something that made scientists at NASA jump out of their seats. Inside the shattered stone was a cluster of bright yellow crystals, pure elemental sulfur. Now you might be thinking, so what? We have sulfur on Earth, but here is the thing. While Mars is covered in sulfates, which is sulfur mixed with other elements, scientists had never seen a pure sulfur on the planet before. It wasn't supposed to be there. This discovery was a geological impossible find. But while the scientists are geeking out over the chemistry, energy analysts back on Earth starting doing a different kind of math, because right now in 2026 sulfur isn't just a yellow rock. It has become one of the most critical material for the future of our planet's energy. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now let's proceed further. To understand why a rock on Mars matters to your power bill, we have to look at what's happening on Earth right now. Well, there is a global crisis, especially in 2026, especially related to sulfur. For decades, we took sulfur for granted. On Earth, we didn't mine sulfur directly anymore. We get it as a byproduct of refining oil and natural gas. But as the world shifts towards green energy, we are refining less fossil fuel. At the same time, demand is skyrocketing. In early 2026, we hit a triple supply shock. Number one, Middle East conflict. Blockades in the Strait of Hormuz have cut off 45% of the world's seaborne sulfur trade. Number two, export bans. Major producers like Russia, China, and Turkey have extended export bans to protect their own domestic supply. Number three, the price spike. In just the last few months, sulfur price have surged by nearly 40% in the US and over 70% in some of the Asian markets. In Indonesia and in the DRC, the cost to process the metal we need for batteries has now nearly doubled because sulfur, specifically sulfuric acid, has become so expensive. We are in a structural bull market for sulfur that most people didn't see coming. This is where the Martian discovery gets interesting. Why do we need so much sulfur? It's not just for the fertilizers anymore. It's for the holy grail of energy storage, which is lithium sulfur batteries, LIS. The standard lithium ion battery are great, but they are reaching their physical limits. LIS batteries, which is lithium sulfate, however, are the next frontier. They can potentially hold 5 times more energy than the batteries in your phone or Tesla today. NASA themselves have been developing these for Mars mission because they are lighter and much more powerful. But there is a catch to making these batteries at a global scale. We need massive, stable supply of highly purified sulfur. And right now, Earth's supply is shrinking just as the battery demand is accelerating with dual engines. When Curiosity found a literal field of pure sulfur on Mars, it proved that the universe can create massive concentrated deposits of this material without the need for the biological life or petroleum based refining. Now, I'm not saying that we are going to start shipping sulfur back from Mars tomorrow. The shipping cost would be astronomical. But the discovery changes the Martian economy. If humans are going to live on Mars, we need in situ resource utilization, or ISRU. This means using what's already there. Before this find, we thought that we had to bring sulfur from Earth or go through a complex chemical processing to get it to what we needed. Now we know there are literal piles of yellow gold just sitting on the surface. For batteries, we could build energy storage on Mars using local materials. For rocket fuel, sulfur can be a key component in chemical processing. For agriculture, Martian greenhouses will need sulfur-based fertilizers to grow food. This discovery effectively de-risks the cost of human expansion. It turns Mars from a scientific curiosity into a viable industrial outpost. So how does the Curiosity sulfur find shake Earth market? It serves as a massive wake-up call. It reminds us that the sulfur is no longer just a byproduct or a waste material. It is now a critical energy material. The fact that NASA is finding pure sulfur on another planet while we are struggling with sulfur squeeze here on Earth highlights a massive shift in our global economy. Companies are no longer looking at sulfur as a cost item. They are looking at it as an investment item. We are seeing a move towards solid state batteries and recycling technologies that treat sulfur as a precious resource. Curiosity's happy accident in Gale crater isn't just a win for geology. It is a glimpse into future where the resources of the red planet might just be the blueprint for the survival of the green planet. The next time you look at the Mars, don't just see a desert, see a laboratory, see as a mine, and see the fuel for the next century of human progress. I'm CK, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. Before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In the furnace of ancient India, where the sages were scientists and labs were temples of an inquiry, one name glows like a molten gold: Nagarjuna. Not the philosopher of Mahayan fame, but the metallurgist and alchemist whose experiments with mercury, iron, and transmutation blurred the line between mysticism and the material science. Legend places him in a Vidarbha and Satvahana dynasty, working in hidden labs, chasing immortality, while perfecting techniques that still echoes in modern metallurgy. In 2026, as nanotechnology, refined alloys, and imitation jewelry thrives on his ancient method, Nagarjuna's story reminds us that the quest to transform matter is timeless as human spirit itself. So let's find out more. In the annals of Indian science, Nagarjuna stands as a figure both enigmatic and luminous. While the name Nagarjuna is often associated with great Buddhist philosopher of 2nd century CE, another tradition celebrates him as a metallurgist and alchemist of medieval India. The Nagarjuna, remembered in text and oral tradition, was a master of rasayan, the ancient Indian science of alchemy, and a pioneer in the metallurgy whose contribution continues to echo into the 21st century. Born, according to some account, in Vidarbha and later associated with Satvahan dynasty, Nagarjuna is said to have established labs in South India. Archaeological evidence from Nagalwadi in Maharashtra suggests that he conducted experiment in metallurgy and chemistry, working with substances like iron, mercury, and his curiosity was not limited to metals. He sought an elixir of immortality, invisibility, and transformation, blending mystical aspiration with the rigorous experimentation. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So moving forward, his most celebrated text is Rasa Ratnakar, is a compilation of chemical knowledge. In it, Nagarjuna discussed the acid, the metals, and the process of purification. He described a method for extracting gold, silver, tin, and copper, and even outlined the distillation techniques. These writings reveal a mind deeply engaged with the material world, yet always linking a chemical process to the spiritual purification. For Nagarjuna, the act of refining metal mirrored the refining or refinement of soul. Impurities must be removed, whether in the matter or in human character. One of his most intriguing contribution was gold shine mechanism. Through experiment, he discovered the ways to transmute the base metal into substance that resemble gold. While not true transmutation, this process produced a gold-like sheen technology that remarkably is still used today in the jewelry industry for imitation of ornament. Thus, a technique born in ancient labs continues to shape the modern aesthetics. Nagarjuna's influence extended beyond the metallurgy. He was also a physician, a yogi, contributing to Ayurveda through texts like Satak and the Jeev Sutra. His integration of chemistry with medicine enriched Indian medieval traditions, offering insight into the preparation of compound and the treatment. In this way, he embodied the interdisciplinary spirit, a scientist, a healer, a philosopher, rolled into one. In 2026, his legacy feels strikingly modern. His principle of articulated systematic experimentation, purification, and transformation resonate with the contemporary chemistry and the material science. His vision of linking matter and spirit anticipates today's holistic approach, where the science and philosophy are not seen as a opposite, but as a contemporary path of understanding. Moreover, his experiment in distillation and metallurgy remind us that India's scientific heritage is not peripheral, but central to the global history of science. Nagarjuna, the metallurgist, thus emerged as a bridge builder between philosophy and chemistry, between ancient aspiration and modern technologies. His labs may have been simple by today's standards, but his imagination was vast, reaching for the immortality and cosmic truth, while the grounding itself in the practical art of working with the metals. In honoring him, we recognize not only as a pioneer of Indian alchemy, but also a timeless symbol of human curiosity, the drive to transform, to refine, and to discover. Nagarjuna's alchemy was more than a pursuit of gold. It was a pursuit of knowledge itself. In 2026, as we refine materials at nanoscale, explore new alloy for space exploration, we walk a path he helped to lay centuries ago, providing the fire of inquiry he kindled still that inquiry which he kindled that still actually burns within us in 2026. We have come to the end. Please like and subscribe this channel. Look forward for your comments. But before we end, few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
कश्मीर की धरती ने अनेक महान शासकों को जन्म दिया, परंतु उसमें से एक नाम विशेष रूप से इतिहास में चमकता है। कश्मीर की वादियों में जब सत्ता डगमगाने लगी, तब एक महिला ने अपने साहस और बुद्धिमत्ता से इतिहास की दिशा बदल दी। वह थी रानी दिद्दा, विकलांगता के बावजूद अदम्य इच्छा शक्ति वाली शासक, जिन्हें कश्मीर की आयरन वुमेन के नाम से भी जाना जाता है। उनका जीवन की जो कहानी है हमें बताती है कि शक्ति केवल शरीर में नहीं होती, बल्कि मन संकल्प में होती है। दिद्या का शासन का लगभग 22 वर्षों तक चला और उनका जीवन साहस, राजनीति की गहरी समझ और अदम्य इच्छा शक्ति का प्रतीक है। दिद्या का जन्म 1924 ईस्वी में हुआ था। बचपन से ही शारीरिक रूप से कमजोर थी। उनकी एक टांग विकलांग थी, लेकिन इस कमजोरी को उन्होंने कभी अपनी शक्ति पर हावी नहीं होने दिया। उनका मनोबल इतना दृढ़ था कि उन्होंने अपने जीवन को एक चुनौतीपूर्ण किंतु प्रेरणादायक यात्रा बना दिया। वह लोहारा वंश की राजकुमारी थी और कश्मीर के राजा क्षेम गुप्त से उनका विवाह हुआ था। विवाह के बाद वे कश्मीर की रानी बनी। क्षेमगुप्त की मृत्यु के बाद दिद्दा ने शासन की बागडोर अपने हाथों में ली। प्रारंभिक रूप में उन्होंने अपने पुत्र अभिमन्यु के साथ शासन किया। 1975 ईस्वी में पुत्र अभिमन्यु की मृत्यु हो गई और दिद्दा ने अपने पोते नरेंद्र गुप्त, त्रिभुवन गुप्त और भीम गुप्त को क्रमशः गद्दी पे बिठाया, परंतु वास्तविक सत्ता उनके हाथ में ही थी। एंड जल्द ही उन्होंने राजनीतिक क्षमता और कठोर निर्णय से इस पूरे क्षेत्र को एक वास्तविक सत्ता का केंद्र बना दिया। दिद्दा का शासन काल लगभग 22 वर्ष तक चला। इस दौरान उन्होंने अनेक षड्यंत्रों व विरोधों का सामना किया। दरबार में उनके खिलाफ कई बार विद्रोह हुए, परंतु उन्होंने अपनी चतुराई और कठोर नीतियों को के साथ उन सभी को परास्त किया। कहा जाता है कि उन्होंने अपने विरोधियों को समाप्त करने के लिए कोई भी एक्चुअली संकोच नहीं किया, चाहे वो दरबारी हो या उनके रिश्तेदार। और अगर उनके प्रशासनिक सुधार की बात की जाए तो वो भी काफी बड़े उन्होंने उस समय किए थे, जैसे कि कर व्यवस्था को सुदृढ़ किया और सेना को संगठित किया, सीमाओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित की। और उन्होंने सबसे बड़ी अगर उपलब्धि मानी जाए तो उन्होंने कश्मीर को राजनीतिक अस्थिरता से बाहर निकाला और राज्य को एक मजबूत प्रशासनिक ढांचे में ढाला। उन्होंने यह व्यवस्था को सुदृढ़ किया और कश्मीर की जो सीमाएं हैं उसको भी सुरक्षित किया। दिद्दा का शासन काल अगर कई इतिहासकार बोलते हैं कठोर था, परंतु प्रभावी भी था। उन्होंने ये साबित किया कि एक महिला चाहे शारीरिक रूप से कमजोर ही क्यों ना हो, दृढ़ इच्छा शक्ति, बुद्धिमत्ता से पूरे राज्य को संभाल सकती है। उनके शासन के बाद कश्मीर में लोहारा वंश की नींव और भी मजबूत हो गई। और यदि आप यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं तो कृपा करके बताइए कि आप किस शहर से जुड़े हैं और किस भाषा में इस वीडियो को देख रहे हैं। इससे हमारे चैनल की पहुंच को समझने में हमें मदद मिलेगी। चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं और इस चर्चा को आगे और बढ़ाते हैं। इतिहासकार जो हैं वो मानते हैं, कई इतिहासकार मानते हैं कि दिद्दा काफी निर्दयी शासक थी। तो कभी वो ये भी बताते हैं कि वो दूरदर्शी नेता भी थी, लेकिन इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं कि दिद्दा ने कश्मीर के इतिहास में अपनी अमिट छाप छोड़ी। उनकी कहानी हमें सिखाती है कि परिस्थितियां चाहे कितनी भी कठोर क्यों ना हो, साहस, दृढ़ता से उन्हें बदला जा सकता है। रानी दिद्दा का जीवन हमें यह भी सिखाता है कि शक्ति शारीरिक सामर्थ्य में नहीं, बल्कि दृढ़ संकल्प, दूरदर्शिता में निहित होती है। विकलांगता के बावजूद उन्होंने कश्मीर की सत्ता संभाली, षड्यंत्रों को परास्त किया और राज्य की स्थिरता बनाए रखी। उनके शासन काल ने यह प्रमाणित किया कि महिला भी कठोर निर्णय लेकर इतिहास की धारा बदल सकती है। अगर देखा जाए तो दिद्दा की कहानी साहस और नेतृत्व की है, जिसने अमित छाप कश्मीर के इतिहास पर छोड़ी है। कभी कई लोग उनको निर्दयी कहते हैं, कई दूरदर्शी कहते हैं, लेकिन उनकी गाथा हमें ये प्रेरणा देती है कि कठिन परिस्थितियों में भी यदि मनोबल अडिग रहे तो असंभव को भी संभव किया जा सकता है। तो अब हम अपनी चर्चा के अंत तक पहुंच चुके हैं। कृपा करके हमारे चैनल को लाइक और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, और विषय पर अगर आपकी कोई टिप्पणी हो तो उसको भी हमारे साथ साझा कीजिए। अब हम ये समाप्त करते हैं आज की मुलाकात। आपसे फिर बहुत जल्द मुलाकात होगी। तब तक अपना ख्याल रखिए। नमस्कार। Before the robotic arms and AI entered the operation theater, a healer in ancient India was already reshaping the future of medicine. Sushruta, the legendary father of surgery, carved his legacy not with the medicines, but with wisdom, precision, and compassion. In Sushruta Samhita, he described rhinoplasty, cataract surgery, and anatomy with astonishing details. Centuries ahead of his time, and in today 2026, as medicine balance in innovation with ethics, his voice echoes across the millennia. Let's find out more about him. In the annals of medical history, few names shines as bright as Sushruta, the ancient Indian physician whose vision and practice earned him the title of Father of Surgery. So, living around the 6th century BCE in Kashi, the modern Varanasi, Sushruta was more than a healer. He was teacher, he was philosopher and innovator who believed medicine was a sacred duty rooted in compassion and discipline. His legacy, preserved in Sushruta Samhita, continues to resonate even in 2026 as the world seeks balance between cutting edge technology and holistic care. Sushruta Samhita is monumental text spanning 186 chapters covering surgery, anatomy, pharmacy and pediatrics, taxology and prevention medicines. Within its page, Sushruta described surgical techniques that astonish modern readers also, like rhinoplasty using skin flaps, cataract surgeries by lens removal, and lithotomy for bladder stones and obesities, a procedure to save mothers, especially in critical conditions. He catalogs over 300 bones, 700 vessels, and a wide array of surgical instruments. So, demonstrating a mastery of anatomy that was centuries ahead of its time. His insistence on hygiene, diets, and lifestyle as pillar of health foreshadows even the modern preventive medicines. So, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, going forward on this wonderful topic, Sushruta's contribution was not merely technical. He emphasized on ethics, compassion, and the morality of responsibilities of physicians. So, in an age where the artificial intelligence and robotics are entering in operating rooms, his reminder that the healing is both science and art, and that feels especially both the things combination and the field definitely you will also agree is very urgent even in 2026. Technology may enhance precision, but the human touch, empathy, respect, and ethical judgment remains irreplaceable. In 2026, Sushruta's relevance is striking. As reconstructive surgery advances, his pioneer in rhinoplasty techniques are recognized as a procedure to modern plastic surgery. As integrative medicines gains traction, his holistic approach, combining such surgery with Ayurveda, diets, and lifestyle, offers a model for sustainable healthcare. And as a global health system grapples with the pandemics, lifestyle diseases, and ethical dilemmas, his vision of medicines as moral duty provides timeless guidance. So, Sushruta's life reminds us that innovation is not only about inventions but about foresight. He anticipated the need for structured surgical training, insisting that students practice on watermelon or animal carcasses before operating on human. As a principle, echoes even today's medical simulations. He saw the physician not as a technician but as a custodian of life, entrusted with both skill and conscience. So in 2026, Sushruta's voice echoes across millennia. His cave of knowledge, like that of Bat Cave of virus ecology, teaches vigilance and balance. He reminds us that the medicine must evolve and serve the humanity, and the healing is a dialogue between tradition and innovation. His contribution is not a relic of past, but a living lesson for the future. So, definitely, and this is something, his legacy is not definitely we should read, we should appreciate, and we should also follow the footstep what he has put across for human development, human health development. So his legacy, as I said, is not definitely a relic. It's a living compass pointing us towards future where the healing is both precise and compassion. So we have come to end of this interesting topic. I will request you to like and subscribe our channel and look forward for your comments on this topic. See you in the next one. But before we end this live video, a few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. नमस्कारम दोस्तों, आप सभी का स्वागत है। और आज है जून 8 और आज तो सोमवार है। सभी को पता है कि सोमवार का दिन भगवान शिव के लिए समर्पित है। तो आज हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे भगवान की स्तुति करके, प्रार्थना करके, और हर रोज की तरह हम एक मंत्र का उच्चारण 11 दफा करेंगे। बहुत ही सिंपल सा मंत्र है, इससे भगवान शंकर बहुत खुश होते हैं और आपको काफी सहायता मिलती है अपने रुके हुए कामों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए। तो हम ये काउंटर का इस्तेमाल करेंगे जैसे कि हर रोज करते हैं। 11 दफा महामृत्युंजय का जाप करेंगे। तो आप सब मेरे साथ जुड़ें और हाथ जोड़ के नमन करें, भगवान शंकर का ध्यान लगाएं और महामृत्युंजय का जाप हम शुरू करते हैं। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् संज्ञो जातं प्रपागमि भगवन्त मृत्युं जय शिवम् आवाहयामि। ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। तो दोस्तों, आज हमारा जो भगवान की पूजा है या स्तुति है हमारी समाप्त होती है। अब हम अपना दिन शुरू कर सकते हैं। आप भी अपना दिन शुरू करें और आपका दिन मंगलमय हो। चलिए, थोड़ी देर में मिलता हूं दूसरे वीडियो में। Hello friends, welcome to this executive lesson, and the big question that we have on our mind today which we want to address is, can detachment actually lead to better result in business? This is a very profound question, and that is why in today's high pressure corporate world, CEOs are often told that the end justifies the means. Alright, so there is nothing about detachment, but the ancient wisdom, which is Bhagavad Gita, talks about detachment all the time. They are saying that if you shift your focus from the result to your nishkam karma, basically undivided attention to your work, that will give you better result, and therefore this should be your strategy. And this will also take away your high pressure, whereas you are not focused about result, but you are actually focused about the work. which is the worship in this case. So friends, stick around because this is going to be very interesting. It is going to be useful for people in the leadership position, also for anybody who want to implement, follow Bhagavad Gita. So friends, I will start the discussion now. We live in an era of hyper result. Every quarter, every week, every minute is tracked. As a leader, you value often reduced to a single matrix, which is the bottom line. But here is the irony: the more we obsess over the finish line, more likely that we are, stumble before we get there. We are seeing record level of burnout, decision fatigue, and quite quitting at the executive level. What if I told you that 7,000 years ago, a text which was written or recited holds the secret to modern high performance? Today we are looking at the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 4. Why letting go is actually the most strategic move a CEO can make. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna explains the state of yoga. Not the physical pastures as we see today, but a state of perfect mental equilibrium and the union with one purpose. And the verse says, quote starts, a person is said to have attained yoga when they have no desire for sense gratification and not attached to the fruits of their action and have renounced all material desires. Quote close. To a modern business mind, this sounds impossible. No desire for results, no attachment to fruits. In business, the fruits are the profit, the market share, the exit strategy, etc. etc. But let's look closer. Bhagwan Krishna isn't saying don't work. He's saying work without being enslaved by the outcome. What does the attachment to the result hurt a CEO? Well, the anxiety cloud your judgment. So when you are terrified of a bad quarter, your brain shifts into survival mode. You stop thinking long term and start making fear based decisions. You can also generate tunnel vision. You become so focused on the goal that you miss the signals in the market. You stop innovating because you are too busy defending a specific outcome. You can also get into a hedonic treadmill. If your happiness depends on the result, you are never satisfied. You hit the target and you feel a spark of joy for 5 minutes and then immediately start stressing about the next quarter. This is the recipe of an executive burnout. So what does the attaining yoga looks like in a boardroom? It's what the modern psychologists call the flow state. When you renounce the desire for the fruits, you redirect all that wasted worry energy into a process. Imagine a CEO who walks into a merger negotiations, and if they are attached to the result, they are needy, nervous, and easily manipulated. But if they are focused only on performing their duty perfectly, presenting the facts, staying ethical, and listening deeply, they will remain untouchable. This is the result paradox. By not obsessing over the outcome, you actually increase the quality of your work, which mathematically makes a positive outcome more likely. So, how do you apply Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verse 4 tomorrow morning? Well, step 1, define the effort, not just the goal. Instead of just setting a sales target, set a quality of interaction target. Measure how well you listened and how clearly you communicated and how much value you provided. Step number 2, practice strategic detachment. During high-stake meetings, remind yourself, I have control over my actions, but I do not have control over the final response of others. This lowers your anxiety and raises your IQ. Step 3, audit your sense gratification. Are you making this move for the growth of the company, or are your own ego or sense gratification is driving this? Real leadership begins where the ego ends. So, chapter 6, verse 4 isn't about being passive, it's about being powerful, present. When you stop chasing the shadow of the result, you finally stand in the light of your own potential. You become a leader who is stable in success and resilient in failure. And that is the yoga Krishna speaks of. And it is the ultimate competitive advantage in the 21st century. Don't you think so? So next time you feel the pressure of the bottom line closing in, remember, focus on the work, let go of the fruits, and the result will take care of themselves. So friends, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to send it across. Thanks for watching. If this ancient perspective helped you today, share it with your colleagues who needed to hear it. And friends, I will see you in the next one. But before that, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, welcome to the business section of Akulmach Live. We have all heard about the nuclear breakthrough India just reported. However, the big question today is India about to become the world's nuclear energy hub? Why we are saying this? Because recently Government of India did some changes, policy changes, and because of that, the world over, all the entrepreneurs, all the business investors are now eyeing towards investing in India's nuclear program, which is basically for energy generation. Why it is different? Because this is based on thorium and not on uranium, because uranium there is a lot of risk and people will say, okay, now if you are using uranium you may be having a plan for for some sort of nuclear weapon development. But here in this case thorium, and thorium is abundant in India. We don't have to basically buy uranium from other countries. Thorium is readily available in India, and the beauty here is that for thorium reactor you don't need to basically build very large reactor, and therefore India has decided to build these small reactors. And recently what we are discussing today is that the FDI has been allowed in these small reactors, and because of that lot of investors are now coming through the FDI route, trying to invest in these small thorium reactors. And they have also passed, the Indian government, Indian Parliament has also passed something called Shanti Act. Now for those who understand Hindi, Shanti basically means peace. So they have passed a Shanti Act, which is a metaphor for Peace Act, which allow investor to invest in the thorium program, which is now started by India. So friends, stick around in this video because we are going to discuss this in detail.
For decades, the Indian nuclear sector was a forbidden fortress. It was state-run, shielded from private players, and largely close to the global capital. But in 2025, everything changed. The Atomic Energy Commission, AEC, just cleared a policy that effectively ends the nuclear isolation era by allowing up to 49% foreign direct investment, also known as FDI, in small modular reactor, SMRs. India has fired, starting a pistol for a multi-billion-dollar race. Why now? Well, the world is hungry for carbon-free base load power, and India has world's most ambitious energy roadmap. We aren't just talking about a few power plants. We're talking about a $200 billion shift. Today, we are breaking down the global investor from the US, France, and Russia are suddenly lining up at the India's door. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's talk technology. Traditional nuclear plants are like massive cruise ships. They take 15 years to build and cost 10 billion or more. If one thing goes wrong, the whole project stalls. Small modular reactors, or the SMRs, are the speedboats and speedboats of the nuclear world. These are the reactors that produce between 77 megawatts and 300 megawatts of power. They are built in factories on the assembly lines and shipped to the site. India has introduced its own version, the Bharat Small Reactor, which is acronym for BSR. Why investors love them? They offer lower entry price. Instead of risking $10 billion, a private company can partner with the Nuclear Power Corporation of India to build a modular unit for a fraction of the cost. So it has speed of delivery. Definitely you can actually go from groundbreaking to grid connected in about 5 years. For an investor, faster construction means a faster return on investment. The real magic happened in the boardroom. The Indian government passed the Shanti Act of 2025. This wasn't just another law. It was a legal bridge. Before this, foreign companies were terrified of Indian civil liability laws. If there was an accident, the supplier could be sued into bankruptcy. The new policy provider, in fact, clears a framework for risk sharing between Indian state and the foreign investor. By allowing 49% FDI, India is saying we want your tech and we want your cash, but we will keep the keys to the security of the facility. Therefore, the balance of 51% will be state control and 49% will be private investment. And that is why this is a sweet spot. And that has a global giant like Holtec International, GE, Hitachi dusting off their blueprints for Indian soil. The investment isn't just about technology, it's about demand. Indian economy is booming, and definitely it's also growing by leaps and bounds. And the rest of the world can only dream of at that kind of speed India is moving forward. We are building gigafactories for EVs, massive data centers for AI, and huge green hydrogen hubs. All these things have one thing in common. India needs 24 by 7 power. Solar and wind are great, but they don't work when the sun goes down and the wind stops, right? So SMRs are being pitched as the captive power sources. Imagine massive steel plants in Odisha or a tech park in Bengaluru having its own dedicated SMR right next door. Investors see this industrial demand as the guaranteed revenue stream. It is not just selling power to the grid, it is powering the future of the global manufacturing. Now let's talk about the long game. India has the world's largest reserve of thorium, believe it or not. The traditional reactors runs on uranium, which India has to import. But thorium, we have enough of it in our beaches to power the country for centuries. And what is the catch here? There's always a catch, right? You cannot just put thorium in a standard reactor. You need a breeder process. So SMRs are perfect test bed for this. By inviting FDIs into SMRs, India is accelerating its three-stage nuclear program. The global investors provide capital today for uranium-based SMRs are essentially helping build the infrastructure that will eventually run on thorium. It's a transition that could make India the OPEC of the 22nd century. So why are the global investors eyeing India at this point in time? It is a perfect storm of the clear policy, which is based on FDI, proven demand, which is the industrial growth, and the futuristic tech, which is based on thorium. India's goal is to hit 100 gigawatt of nuclear power by 2047. It's a massive mountain to climb, but for the first time, India isn't climbing it alone. With global capital and private innovation now in the mix, the atomic age of India hasn't just arrived. It is actually going to get onto overdrive. So friends, what do you think? Is opening nuclear power to foreign investment is a master stroke for energy independence or a risky move? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the tech and policy that is shaping India's future. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you again in the next one. Before I leave, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Welcome friends. Recently Artemis 2 has been a very successful trip to moon, created many landmarks, but one of the things that we can now imagine in future, not so far away but very near future, is the settlement, humanity settlement. But then how it will happen? There are so many challenges. One of the challenge is related to habitat, and therefore this company, a startup in USA, they are going to basically talk about the new type of habitat structure. They are going to convert the moon into a real habitable real estate, when the humans travel to moon and successfully land on the moon, etc. So the big question is the future on of humanity on the moon is inflatable. Remember this word inflatable, because this company, which is known as Max Space, they are actually talking about inflatable habitat which can reach moon and then can be inflated, and then they are readily available. No digging required, no construction, no 3D printing, none of those things. These are ready to build housing, and as soon as the astronaut arrive there, the houses will be ready. So this is a game changer, and this is very exciting. So in today's video we are going to discuss how this is going to happen, what are the roadblocks, what are the opportunities, and how this Max Space is changing the landscape, especially for the human settlement, not only on moon but in future outside in other worlds. So stick around friends, because this is going to be very, very interesting video.
Imagine you're moving into a new apartment, but there is a catch. You have to carry every single piece of furniture, the walls, the plumbing, and the oxygen system on your back while climbing a mountain. That is essentially the challenge of building a base on the moon. For decades, the dream of lunar colony has been held back by one brutal reality, which is the weight. In the space industry, mass is money. Every extra kilogram of steel or aluminum you send to lunar surface cost a fortune in rocket fuel. Because of this, most proposed moon bases have been small, cramped, and incredibly difficult to scale. But that's about to change now. A Florida-based startup called Max Space has just unveiled a design that sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, a pop-up habitat. They aren't just building rooms, they are building what they call the scalable real estate for the moon. And if they succeed, the era of flags and footprints is over and the era of lunar cities is going to begin. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. So why is the Max Space important? They recently emerged from the stealth with a bold claim. They can provide most habitable volume for the lowest launch mass in history. In April 2026, the company unveiled a subscale version of their expandable habitat, proving that this isn't just a digital render, it's a physical hardware. Led by the co-founder Salim Mia and Aaron Kammer, MaxSpace is leveraging over 30 years of material science knowledge and what they call the practical readiness of the materials to solve the hardest problem in lunar exploration. The core idea is very simple. Instead of sending a rigid metal tube that is mostly empty space, you send a highly compressed, ultra strong fabric envelope. One of it hits the lunar surface, it pops up and expanding to 20 times its original stored volume. Think about that. One single SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, a workhorse of the modern space flight, could theoretically launch a fully equipped habitat with 350 cubic meters of volume. To put that in perspective, that's about a third of the entire habitable volume of the International Space Station, delivered in a single relatively cheap launch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Inflatable on the moon. Well, isn't that just a giant balloon waiting to pop? It's a very fair question. The lunar environment is a nightmare. Temperatures swing between 107 degrees in the sun to minus 153 in the shade. There is no atmosphere to stop micrometeorites, and a radiation from solar flare can be lethal. But MaxSpace design isn't a balloon. It's an engineering marvel made of interwoven layer of advanced materials like Kevlar and specialized polymer bladders. Why this is actually better than metal? There are several reasons, starting with the debris protection. This is the first reason. Rigid metal hull can actually shatter or spall when hit by a high speed space dust. Expandable layer absorbs the disperse the impact energy much like a bulletproof vest. Second is the radiation shielding. Because these habitats are so large, once expanded, they can be outfitted with internal shieldings or even covered with lunar regolith, which is the moon soil or moon dirt, whatever you want to call it, and that will create a massive radiation proof bunker. Number 3 is the mass to volume ratio. In a rigid module, the walls have to be thick enough to handle launch vibration and internal pressures. With an expandable, the walls are optimized for the pressure of the space, making them lighter and stronger per square inch. The company calls this scalable real estate because it allows for a modular approach. You don't just build one room, you link them together. You can have a pop-up lab, a pop-up greenhouse, and pop-up sleeping quarters, all connected by a pressurized tunnel. This news couldn't come at a better time. We are currently in the middle of Artemis era. As of April 2026, Artemis 2 has successfully returned from its lunar flyby, marking the first humans to have seen the far side of moon with their own eyes since 1972. NASA is now laser focused on Artemis 4 and Artemis 5, which are targeted for 2028. Artemis 5 is going to be very interesting because it's specifically where the moon base phase begins. NASA recently announced they are moving away from the Lunar Gateway space station concept in favor of a permanent surface infrastructure. They want to stay on the surface of the moon. And this is where the Max Space and the Voyager Technologies partnership comes in reality and becomes more real. The company behind the Star Lab, in fact, the Voyager, you may be knowing, is the company behind this Star Lab space station, and has made a multi-million-dollar investment in Max Space to ensure this tech is ready for the Artemis mission. Now, what is the goal? By the late 2020s, instead of astronauts living out of their lander for a week, they will move into these Max Space habitat for months at a time. This tech turns a visit into a colony. So that is a very clear goal. What is the next step now? Max Space isn't going straight to the moon. First, they have to prove it their system works in vacuum of Earth's orbit. Their first flight, known as the mission Evolution, is scheduled for 2027 as a ride share on a Falcon 9. This will be a smaller prototype to validate the deployment sequence and structural integrity. If that works, the sky, or rather the lunar South Pole, is the limit. They are already designing their Thunderbird station, a commercial outpost that could serve as a lunar hotel or a research hub. For 60 years, we have thought about space station, the moon bases, as cold metallic cylinders, but the future of human life beyond Earth might be softer, lighter, and much, much bigger. Max Space is betting that the key to cosmos isn't building bigger rockets, but building smarter houses. If they are right, the first pop-up colony on the moon won't just be a scientific outpost. It will be the first real piece of lunar real estate in human history. Now, the question is, if you could book a room in a pop-up lunar hotel in 2030, would you go to moon? I will like to know your answer. So friends, thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated on the race to build the first moon base, hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos on Artemis program. Before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and namaskar. Is your business strategy built on a foundation of sand? Like a sand castle? I'm sure everybody gets this kind of a feeling and there are no straightforward answers. Therefore, in this video, we dive into a powerful and sobering lessons from Bhagavad Gita and apply its ancient wisdom to the high-stake world of modern leadership. Many CEOs and entrepreneurs fall into the trap of hollow hustle, achieving massive metrics, scaling operations, and they acquire vast knowledge only to find that their efforts feel empty or ultimately fail. Let's go forward and discuss this further. We've all seen it. The CEOs who have everything, the corner office, the soaring stock price, a strategy that looks flawless on a PowerPoint deck. They are brilliant, driven, and possess a wealth of technical knowledge, technical know-how. But then it happens. Despite the perfect plans, the culture rot from within. The strategy lead to a moral or financial dead end. The growth wasn't sustainable because it wasn't grounded in anything real. In the corporate world, we call this a strategic failure. But 7,000 years ago, the Bhagavad Gita called it something else. It called it a spell. Today we are looking at chapter 9, verse 12 of Gita. This isn't just a religious text. It's a psychological mirror for every leader who has ever wondered why their hard work felt like total waste. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's look at the verse and the quote starts. They came under the spell of the material energy embracing demonic and atheistic belief. Alas, all their hopes for liberation, their fruitive actions, and their knowledge are a total waste. Quote close. To a modern CEO, words like demonic or spell might sound out of place, but let's translate them into business language and let's give it a business context. The spell is what we call a confirmation bias or a corporate myopia. It is when you are mesmerized by a short-term metrics and material energy, which is the profit, the clout, and the vanity metrics that you lose, and therefore you lose sight of reality. Demonic and atheistic beliefs in a business context isn't about theology. It's the belief that you are the sole creator of your success, that ethics are hurdle to be cleared, and that people are just resources to be used. So Bhagavad Gita warns that when a leader operates from this place, three specific things become a total waste. Every CEO, every CEO has a hope for liberation. In business, this is your exit strategy. It's the IPO, the acquisition, the freedom you think you will find once you hit a certain valuation. But verse 12 says these hopes are waste if they are built on demonic foundation. Why? Because if your strategy is driven by ego rather than purpose, you never actually become free. You become a slave to the next quarter, the next competitor, and the next ego-driven goal. You aren't leading a company. You are running a treadmill that has no off switch. Next, Gita mentions fruitive action. This is the heart of every business. The execution, the marketing campaign, the R&D, and the pivots. We have seen CEOs execute brilliant, fruitive actions that lead to disasters. Think of massive corporate scandals of the last decade. Those leaders were smart. Their actions produce fruits, which is, in other words, money. And therefore, this is all short terms. But because those actions embrace atheistic belief, meaning they ignored the universal laws of integrity and service, the fruits was poisonous. The result? Total waste, lawsuits, bankruptcy, and destroyed reputation. This is the most painful part for a leader. The Gita says your knowledge is a total waste. You might have an MBA from Harvard. You might know every trend in the AI and fintech, but if that knowledge is used merely to serve the material spell to manipulate market or exploit people, it becomes completely useless. True knowledge, according to Gita, should lead to, sort of realized wisdom. Without a moral compass, your data and your insights are just tools for your own downfall. So, how does a CEO avoid the dead end? The solution isn't stop being ambitious, it's to change the source of your ambition. Break the spell. There are few things, starting with breaking the spell. Audit your motivations. Are you doing this for the material energy, which is ego/status, or for the dharma, which is purpose and duty? So you must ask this question. Second, reject the demonic models. Stop seeing your business as a machine and start seeing it as an ecosystem that must add value to the world. Third, validate your knowledge. You must ensure your strategy passes the integrity test. If your plan requires you to abandon your value to succeed, the Gita tells you right now it will be a total waste. Lead with purpose and your actions will finally bear fruit that lasts longer. So friends, what do you think about this? Thanks for watching. If this ancient perspective or on the modern leadership resonate with you, hit the subscribe button, share this video with leaders who need to hear this, and I will take your leave today only to catch you again in the next one. Before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Sun is not silent. It speaks in the burst of invisible thunder. For centuries, we have seen its flare and storm, but Parker Solar Probe has now tuned our ears to a deeper frequency. Hidden within the blazing corona, magnetic switchbacks snaps like a cosmic whisper, unleashing radio waves that ripple across the solar system. And these bursts are more than a whisper of plasma. They are sun's coded signals carrying secrets of its magnetic heart and warning of storm yet to come. In this revelation, Parker has transformed our star from blazing sphere into a storyteller. Its switchbacks composing a hidden symphony of light and sound. Let's find out more about this. The sun, our nearest star, has always been a restless giant. Its surface boiling with plasma, its atmosphere alive with storms. For centuries, astronauts have watched solar flares and coronal mass ejection ripple outward, sometimes striking Earth with a magnetic tempest. Yet beneath its familiar drama lies subtle mysteries, whisper of radio waves, flickers of magnet turbulence, and that only the most daring spacecraft can unveil. The Parker Solar Probe, humanity's closest emissary to the sun, has now peeled back another layer of its enigma, revealing hidden magnetic switchbacks that gives rise to solar radio bursts. So, radio bursts are sudden and outpouring of electromagnetic energies and streaming across space like invisible thunderclap. They are often triggered when the charged particle accelerate along the magnetic field lines, releasing energy in the form of radio waves. For decades, scientists knew these bursts existed, but their precise origin remained elusive. Were they born in the corona tangled loop? Did they emerge from the shock wave racing through the solar wind? But now Parker Solar Probe diving deep and close to the sun's surface has provided the most intimate clues yet. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine reach of our channel. So going forward, as the probe skimmed through the solar atmosphere, its instruments detected abrupt revelation, abrupt uprising the magnetic field. Switchbacks like a king in the garden hose. These switchbacks are not gentle bend, but actually sharp zigzags, flipping the direction of the magnetic field from a brief for a brief moment before snapping back. Each switchback carries plasma along with it, accelerating particles and steering the turbulence. The new data suggests that these magnetic switchbacks are fertile ground for radio burst, miniature accelerator that hurl electrons into spiral, producing the radio signal that astronomers detect across the solar system. So these insight reshapes our understanding and space weather. Now going forward, the discovery is definitely profound. It's linked with the two previously disconnected phenomena. On one hand, switchbacks were known as the oddities in the solar wind, puzzling features that hint at the chaotic dynamics near the sun. And on the other hand, radio bursts were catalogued as a distinct emissions useful for diagnosing the solar storm, but poorly understood in origin. The Parker finding weave them together, and the switchbacks are now not mere curiosities, but engine of radio emission, shaping the very soundtrack of sun's activity. So, radio bursts are not just academic curiosity, as we have already mentioned. They are interface or with the communication, navigation system, even the spacecraft operations. By tracing them back to the magnetic switchbacks, scientists gain predictive power. If switchbacks can be mapped and modeled, then the radio burst and the storm they create can be anticipated with a greater accuracy. So, in essence, Parker has given us a new diagnostic tool, a way to listen to the sun's magnetic heartbeat and foresee its disruptive pulse. The implication extend beyond Earth. Radio bursts ripple through the heliosphere and the vast bubble of solar influence that envelops the planet. They may play a role for accelerating cosmic rays, shaping a planetary magneto atmosphere, and even the influencing the chemistry of atmosphere. So, for Mars, with its magnetic shield, such burst could be particularly consequential and steering its upper atmosphere and affecting its future. Human explorer, and that is a good info data for the human explorer and the astronauts. For distinct spacecraft, understanding radio burst is vital for shielding electronics and maintaining communication link. And this is also a poetic dimension to its discovery. The sun, often imagined as a blazing sphere of light, now reveals itself as a symphony of invisible signals. Its magnetic field twists and snaps like violin strings, producing radio notes that echo across the space. So, Parker's solar probe, actually braving the furnace of Corona, has become our ear pressing against the star, catching whispers that were once lost in the cosmic din. Each switchback is a stanza, each burst is a refrain, and composing a hidden music of the sun. So, looking ahead, scientists will combine Parker's data with observation from other missions such as Solar Orbiter to build a full picture. Together, these spacecraft will actually triangulate the origin of burst and map the geometry of switchbacks and refine model of solar wind. So, the ultimate goal is not to understand the sun, but to live safely within its influence. As humanity ventures deeper into space, towards the moon, Mars, and beyond, predicting solar radio burst will be essential as a forecasting storms on the earth. So, in a grand narrative of exploration, Parker's discovery is reminder that even the familiar star hold secrets. The sun, which has actually shining upon the earth for billions of years, is still teaching us how its magnetic heart beats. And hidden switchbacks, once invisible, now stands revealed as an architect of radio storm. And with each revelation, we drew closer to mastering the cosmic weather that shapes our destiny among the stars. So, in the end, Parker's solar probe has shown us that the sun is not just a blazing sphere of light, but a restless storyteller weaving its tale through the magnetic switchbacks and radio burst. Each hidden kink in this field is a spark of revelation. Each burst a message carried across the solar system. By decoding these signals, we are not only learning to predict the storm that shapes our cosmic environment, but also hearing for the first time the sun's secret voice. The discovery reminds us that even the most familiar star still holds mysteries awaiting to be unveiled, and with every orbit, the Parker brings us closer to understanding the rhythm of our star's eternal symphony. So, for today we have come to the end. Magnetic strings and cosmic echoes, that's what is very amazing, and and very kind of good to really know more about it. So thanks for watching. Please please like and subscribe our channel. See you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and namaskara. Let me ask you, is your leadership built to last or is it stuck in a loop? In this episode of Beyond the Boardroom, we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of Bhagavad Gita to uncover a startling truth for the modern day leaders, which is the cycle of rebirth and death, etc. In the material world, even the highest achiever in the Brahmalok, which is the pinnacle of success, are subject to the laws of time and repetition. For CEO, this rebirth manifests as grueling cycle of market disruption, product obsolescence, and the constant need to reinvent the wheel. Let us discuss this further. What happens the day after you reach the top? Every CEO has a Brahmalok moment. It is the quarter where the revenue hit a record high, the IPO is a smash, or the boardroom gives you a standing ovation. In the world of business, we call it having arrived. But there is a quiet anxiety that follows that peak. It is the realization that tomorrow the clock reset to zero. The market changes. The competitor emerges from the garage in the Silicon Valley. Your top talent get headhunted. Suddenly you aren't the king of the mountain anymore. You're back in the trenches fighting for the survival. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 16, Bhagwan Krishna delivers a sobering truth to Arjun that every modern leader needs to hear. And the quote starts, "O Arjun, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again." And the quote close. Today we are going beyond the boardroom. We are going to explore why every CEO is trapped in a cycle of rebirth and how to finally break it. Friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now let's proceed further. In Vedic cosmology, which is the Brahmalok, is the highest point of the material universe. It is the peak of pleasure, power, and longevity. But Bhagwan Krishna warns that even there you aren't safe from the cycle. In business terms, Brahmlok is the S&P 500. It is the market leader status. But look at the history. How many Brahmlok companies from year 2000 are still relevant today? When Bhagwan Krishna speaks of repeated birth and death, he hasn't just he isn't just talking about the reincarnation in the biological sense. For a CEO, death is the obsolescence of your business model. Birth is the grueling process of starting over, rebranding, and fighting for a new market share. If you are leading solely for material metrics, share price, ego, or dominance, you are singing, up for an eternal loop of stress. You are stuck in the sansar of the marketplace. You win, you lose, you die, you start again. It is exhausting. So, why do we face this cycle? Because the material world and by extension, the global economy is in a state of constant flux. Think about the rebirth of famous leaders. Steve Jobs faced death when he was ousted from Apple only to be reborn at Next and Pixar, eventually returning to save Apple again. Netflix died as a DVD by mail company to be reborn as a streaming giant and is now being reborn again as a content studio. Most CEOs think the goal is to survive the current life of their company. But the Gita teaches us that as long as you are attached to the result of the material world, you will always be forced back into the cycle. If your identity is tied to being the CEO of X, X meaning XYZ, what happens when X is disrupted? You suffer a professional death. You are then forced into a rebirth, a new startup, a new role, carrying the same anxiety and the same attachment as before. So, what is the alternative here? Krishna says only when you reach my spiritual abode, you never take birth again. In a leadership context, the spiritual abode is a state of transcendental leadership. It is leading from a place of purpose that is independent of market cycles. How does a CEO reaches the abode and stop painful cycle of rebirth? There are certain things you can do. For instance, detach from the fruit. Focus on dharma. If your goal is just the fruit, which is exit strategy or bonus, you are at the mercy of the cycle. If your goal is your dharma, which is unique duty to provide value to society, you remain steady whether the market is up or down. Next is continuous learning as the spiritual practice. Rebirth happens when you stop growing. In Gita, the solution to the cycle is the knowledge. A CEO who views their role as a journey of constant learning never truly dies in the market. They simply evolve, building a legacy, not just a ledger. Material success is temporary. A spiritual abode in business is the culture you build and live to remove any obstacles in your colleagues' lives or customers' lives, etc. There are only things that don't take birth again in the form of stress, and they become your permanent legacy. When you lead from this higher perspective, the cycle of rebirth stops being a threat and starts being a tool. You no longer fear the death of a product because you aren't attached to it. You no longer fear the market crash because your worth isn't tied to your net worth. You have reached a spiritual abode of equanimity. Imagine a boardroom where decisions aren't made out of fear of a corporate death, but out of commitment to the eternal principle of integrity, service, and wisdom. That is a company that transcend into this kind of a cycle. And that is a leader who has reached the highest planet and decided to go even further. Every CEO obsesses over their exit strategy, but Bhagwan Krishna is offering you the ultimate exit strategy, an exit from the cycle of anxiety, repetition, and temporary success. The next time you face a crisis, a death in that is a metaphor of a project or rebirth of a competitor, remember chapter 8 and verse 16. Don't just aim from Brahmalok. Don't just aim for the top of the material world. Aim for the abode. Lead with purpose that time cannot touch. Because when you lead for something eternal, you never have to start from zero again. So, friends, what do you think about this lesson? If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. Thank you for joining live, and now go out and take lead with wisdom of Gita. Right. So before I part ways today, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In an era where the artificial intelligence debates blur the line between mind and machine, the voice of an ancient sage still echoes with a startling clarity. I'm talking about Rishi Kapil, the father of Sankhya philosophy, who once declared that existence is woven from 2 eternal threads. One is Purush, that means pure consciousness, and another is Prakriti, that means nature. 25 centuries later, his vision feels uncannily modern. So let's find out more about this philosophy.
हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कारम। आप सबका स्वागत है। हम जो भी लीडर हैं, हमारे सीईओ हो सकते हैं, टीम लीडर्स हो सकते हैं, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हो सकते हैं, इन सबको एक चीज़ बहुत ही प्रभावित करती है, वो है बिजनेस अनसर्टेनिटी। उससे काफ़ी मानसिक तनाव होता है। तो हम इस चीज़ का सोल्यूशन ढूंढने की कोशिश करते हैं, लेकिन कहीं मिलता नहीं है। तो आज हम इस क्वेश्चन का, इस सिचुएशन का सोल्यूशन निकालने का प्रयास करेंगे और हम भगवत गीता की सहायता लेंगे। आप सबको पता है, भगवत गीता एक मास्टर क्लास की तरह हमारे सामने मौजूद है और आधुनिक लीडर के ऊपर बिल्कुल बखूबी इसकी जो लर्निंग्स है वो इम्प्लीमेंट की जा सकती हैं। तो आज हम एक पर्टिकुलर वर्स से इस सिचुएशन का सोल्यूशन निकालेंगे, जिसमें भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने अर्जुन को समझाया कि सब कुछ प्रकट और अप्रकट है, ठीक वैसे ही जैसे कि किसी बिजनेस का उतार चढ़ाव। चलिए इसके बारे में और डिस्कशन करते हैं। आज की भागदौड़ बड़ी जिंदगी कॉर्पोरेट दुनिया में, जहां बाजार हर पल बदलता है, जहां मुनाफा और घाटा किसी जुए की तरह अनिश्चित है, अनसर्टेन है, वहीं एक सीईओ का सबसे बड़ा हथियार क्या है? क्या वो टेक्नोलॉजी है? क्या उसकी बड़ी टीम है? नहीं, वो उसका हथियार है मेंटल स्टेबिलिटी, मानसिक स्थिरता। आज हम चर्चा करेंगे भगवत गीता के अध्याय 2 श्लोक 28 पर, जो एक सीईओ के लिए कर्म योगी और उसकी असली परिभाषा को डिफाइन करता है। चलिए हम इस पर्टिकुलर वर्स के बारे में बात करते हैं। इस वर्स में भगवान श्री कृष्ण अर्जुन से कहते हैं, हर चीज, हर इंसान, हर बिजनेस अपने जन्म से पहले इनविजिबल था, मृत्यु के बाद फिर से वो इनविजिबल हो जाएगा, मतलब वो होगा ही नहीं, मैनिफेस्ट ही नहीं होगा, अनमैनिफेस्टेड रहेगा। केवल जीवन, जन्म और मृत्यु के बीच में जो जीवन काल है उसी के अंदर विजिबल रहता है, मतलब मैनिफेस्टेड रहता है। तो जो अनिश्चितता है, के मरने के बाद क्या होगा, जन्म से पहले क्या होगा, उसके बारे में शोक क्यों करना। तो ये एक वर्स है, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। अब इसका हम एनालिसिस करेंगे। इससे पहले दोस्तों, अगर आप यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं तो हमें कमेंट करके जरूर बताएं कि किस सिटी से आप हमारा ये वीडियो देख रहे हैं और आप किस लैंग्वेज में हमारा वीडियो देखना पसंद करते हैं। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। एक सीईओ के रूप में आप रोज नई चुनौतियां देखते हैं। प्रोजेक्ट फेल होते हैं, सक्सेस होता है, शेयर गिरता है, ऊपर चढ़ता है, लोग साथ छोड़ते हैं और इससे विपत्ति और दुख आता है। कभी कभी कुछ नेगेटिव होता है तो उससे कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स आती है या कोई दिक्कत आती है। लेकिन गीता आपको क्या बताना चाहती है? जो आया है वो जाएगा। बिजनेस का राइज एंड फॉल एक ही चक्र के हिस्से हैं। जब आप इस सच्चाई को स्वीकार कर लेते हैं तो उतार चढ़ाव का खेल जो है, इसके जो हिस्सा है, उसको उससे आपका डर खत्म हो जाता है। आप विचलित नहीं होते, आपको किसी तरह का भय नहीं लगता है। आपको समझ में आता है कि जो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस है, दे आर पार्ट ऑफ द सेम कॉइन, सेम व्हील। आप परिणाम, जो रिजल्ट है, उसकी चिंता नहीं करते, बल्कि प्रोसेस में जीने की शुरुआत कर देते हैं। कृष्ण अर्जुन से कहते हैं कि जो अगर आप सब कुछ अस्थाई है तो पछतावा कैसा। एक सीईओ के लिए शोक का मतलब क्या है? अतीत की गलतियों पर रोना या भविष्य की विफलता पर डर को पैदा करना। मतलब आप पीछे वालों से इतने जो इंसिडेंट्स हुए उससे इतने ज्यादा आप टच हो जाते हैं कि आगे आप डरने लग जाते हैं। सो कर्म योगी होने का क्या मतलब है? पूरी ताकत के साथ काम करना, लेकिन उसके फल से खुद को बांध के नहीं रखना चाहिए, जिससे आपको ना किसी चीज का शौक हो, ना फ्यूचर में होने वाले इंसिडेंट्स का भय हो। आप डिटैच होकर निर्णय लें, तब आपके फैसले भावनाओं से नहीं बल्कि डेटा और विवेक से प्रेरित होंगे। यही वो स्थिरता है जो लीडर को भीड़ से अलग खड़ा करती है। अपनी टीम को यह संदेश दें कि अनिश्चित, अनसर्टेनिटी के गुलाम नहीं होके आपको काम करना है, और जो परिवर्तन है, चेंज, यही एक मीडियम है सक्सेस पाने का। मतलब कि चेंज को हमेशा एम्ब्रेस करना है। चेंज तो होके ही रहेगा। भगवान कृष्ण इस वर्ष में यही बता रहे हैं कि चेंज आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, रिजल्ट आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, लेकिन उस पे काम करना आपके पूरे कंट्रोल में है। मार्केट आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, मार्केट अनसर्टेन है, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं। आपके जो इन्वेस्टर हैं वो हमेशा चिंतित हैं, लेकिन उनको विजन दिखाइए। आपकी टीमें डरी हुई हैं, उनको आप स्टेबिलिटी दिखाइए। तो साथियों, अगली बार जब आप अपने सामने कोई बड़ी चुनौती आए तो याद रखें, इस पर्टिकुलर वर्ड्स के बारे में याद रखें, जो बहुत ही महान शब्द बोले गए हैं भगवान कृष्ण के द्वारा, अर्जुन को बताए गए हैं। इसकी सीख को जरूर ध्यान रखें और इससे ये आपको लगेगा कि आप स्थिर हो जाएंगे, आप कर्म योगी हो जाएंगे। आपको ये जो ये मंत्र की तरह आप इसको इस्तेमाल करें, आपका मार्गदर्शन होगा और आप सक्सेसफुल भी रहेंगे। लेकिन क्योंकि आप इस मंत्र को फॉलो करते हैं तो ज़्यादा सक्सेस और ज़्यादा फेलियर आपको प्रभावित नहीं करेंगे। तो दोस्तों, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट सीख है। अगर आपके कुछ सवाल हैं या कोई आपके ओपिनियन है, जरूर करके कमेंट सेक्शन में लिखिए। और बी ए कर्मयोगी। हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए धन्यवाद। आपका दिन शुभ रहे।
Hello friends, Namaskaram. The Indian government has officially placed a temporary ban on the messaging app Telegram. But why is this happening and how does it relate to upcoming NEET re-examination of 2026? In this video, we break down the government latest crackdown on the exam fraud, the specific role Telegram played in spreading the misinformation, and what this means for students appearing for the NEET retest on June 21st. We will also explain the timestamp fraud, that technique that led to the unprecedented moves. Let's go and discuss this further. If you have tried to open Telegram in India over last 24 hours and hit a wall, you aren't alone. As of June 16th, 2026, the Indian government has initiated a temporary nationwide blackout of Telegram messaging platform. But this isn't just about tech glitches. This is a massive coordinated government crackdown aimed directly at one of the most high stakes event in the country, which is the NEET UG examination. And this time it is actually going through re-examination because of situations that we all know. Why would the government shut down one of the most popular messaging app in the country just days before the major exam? Is it overkill, or is it the only way to save the integrity of the national test system? Today, we are breaking down the India versus Telegram showdown, explaining the secret timestamp fraud that forced this hand and what this means for the millions of students preparing for June 21st. Let's dive in. But before that, friends, if you have reached this far, please let us know from which city you have tuned in and watching this video. To understand the ban, we have to look back at May 3rd, 2026. India held its annual NEET UG medical entrance exam, but the results were eventually annulled following a widespread report of paper leak. For millions of students, this was a disaster. Months of preparation and family savings were suddenly in a limbo. The government and the National Testing Agency, which is NTA, announced re-examination scheduled for June 21st, 2026. But as that date approached, the intelligence report began to paint a disturbing picture. According to the government agency and the NTA, the Telegram, which boasts a massive user base in India, was being weaponized. Cheating syndicates were setting up channels with names like Paper Leaked Neat or Private Mafia, aggressively targeting desperate students. They weren't just spreading rumors, they were actively trying to extort families for access to the re exam paper. A paper that NTA maintained, that is perfectly secure within the official chain. Now, let's talk about the specific loopholes that led to this unprecedented move. It is called the timestamp fraud, and it is a brilliant but malicious bit of social engineering. And here is how it works: a scammer creates a Telegram channel, they post a vague, harmless message days before the exam. Once the actual exam concludes and the real questions are out in the public domain, the administrator goes back to their old pre exam message and edit it to insert the legitimate questions, because the Telegram allows channel administrator to edit messages without changing the original timestamp. It creates a terrifying illusion. It looks like they had the paper before the exam even started. This caused massive public panic and allowed scammers to demand lakhs of rupees from vulnerable parents. The government realized that taking down individual channels was like playing a game of whack-a-mole. You delete 10, right? And 20 more pop up. So they decided to cut the power to the whole platform until the exams were safe. This isn't a permanent ban, it's a surgical strike using Section 69A of IT Act of India legal system, which gives the government the power to block online content in the interest of public order and security. The restriction is double layered. Number one is the full app block. This stays in effect until June 22nd, 2026, just after the NEET re-exam is completed. Number two is a feature block. Government has also ordered a Telegram to disable the message editing feature in India until June 30th of 2026 to ensure that even after the ban is lifted, scammers cannot retrospectively manipulate their message history to create more fake leak evidence. Agencies like the I4C, which is Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, and state police are coordinating this crackdown. While the tech enthusiasts have criticized the ban as a band-aid solution that impacts ordinary users, the NTA has labeled it to a measure of the last resort to protect the integrity of the medical entrance process. If you are a student, and here is the bottom line for you, especially if you are a student, the NTA has repeatedly stated that there are no paper leaks and any claims you see on social media, even those that look verified by timestamp, is almost certainly a scam. Do not fall for these extortion attempts. If you see any suspicious activity, call the National Cybercrime Helpline at 1930 or report it on an official portal. Rely only on the official NTA website for your updates. Whether you agree with the government move or think it is an overreach, one thing is very clear: the digital battlefield for exam security has changed forever. What do you think? Was blocking Telegram the right move to stop the fraud, or should the government have focused on some other solution? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tech and policy breakdown. And I will see you very soon in the next one.
Long before silicon chips and rocket engines, India's rishis and scholars were sketching the blueprint of science in verses and in logic. From Pingla's binary rhythm to Aryabhat's celestial equation, their insight became the hidden code of modern progress. What we call algorithm, astronomy, rocket science today and were once seeds planted in the fertile soil of ancient wisdom in India. To revisit their contribution, we should understand that it is not just a history, it is a reminder that the future was imagined centuries ago and that we are still living in their unfolding vision. So let's find out more. In the quiet corridor of ancient Indian thoughts, Pingla stands as a mathematician sage whose vision stretched far beyond his time. Living around 3rd, 2nd century BC, he composed the Chandra Shastra, trusty in Sanskrit parody. At first glance, it was a study of poetic meters, but hidden within its verses lay a revolutionary idea: the earliest known description of binary numbers and combinational patterns. And in his hands, poetry became the mathematics, and the mathematics became a language of code. So Pingla's binary system was simple yet profound. So he represented sequences of long and short syllables and using marks and that correspond to what we call today 1 and 0. This was not merely a poetic device, it was a seed of digital logic. Centuries later, the same binary framework would become the foundation of computer science, coding language, and the algorithm that drives artificial intelligence. And in 2026, every smartphone, rocket guidance system, and the quantum processor hums with the rhythm of Pingla's insight. The universe can be described in two states, on and off, presence and absence. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. Now, moving forward, imagine the world without Pingla's contribution. Without binary, modern digital revolution would flatter. Computer might still exist, but their architecture would be clumsy, reliant on unwieldy numerical system. Rocket science, which depends on precise coding, error-free communication, would stumble. The artificial intelligence which thrives on binary logic would be delayed maybe by centuries. The absence of Pingla's vision would mean a world where the progress limps and instead of leaps. So, where the dream of space exploration and the digital connectivity remain distinct. So, in 2026, his relevance is sharper than ever. As scientists push boundaries in quantum computing, they still rely on binary as the bedrock of classical computation. Rocket science pierce the sky, and their guidance system echoes Pingla's binary rhythms. As artificial intelligence learns, adapt, and evolve, it does so through the string of 1 and 0, the same language Pingla first sketched in the poetic form. His work reminds us that the most advanced technologies are often born from the simplest truth. Modern scientists owe him a gratitude. Every programmer writes code, every physicist modeling particles, and every engineer designing spacecrafts stand on the shoulders of Pingla. His binary vision transformed poetry into mathematics, mathematics into logic, and logic into digital universe. To thank him is to acknowledge that the progress is not only building in the labs or observatories, but also in the mind of sage who saw pattern in verses, numbers in rhythm. Pingla's legacy is reminded that the science is not bound to by any time. His binary system, conceived in an age of oral tradition, poetic recitation, and now drive the engines of rocket science and the algorithm of artificial intelligence. In every line of code, in every rocket launch, in every digital heartbeat of 2026, Pingla's voice resonates. He showed us that the simplicity is the key to infinity. And that form two symbol 1 and 0, the universe of knowledge can unfold. So the legacy of India's ancient scientists is not confined to dusty manuscripts or forgotten verses. It is actually pulses through every circuit, every rocket launch, every equation written today. Without their vision, the binary code of Pingla, the celestial map of Aryabhat, or the medicinal insight of Charak, our modern world would be poorer. And their wisdom reminds us that the progress is not born in isolation, but carried forward by generation who dare to imagine beyond their age. As we step into 2026 and beyond, every scientist, coder, explorer, actually owns a silent gratitude to these rishis of reason. For their lit the first spark of discovery that now fuels the engines of science and rocket flights. And in their echoes, we find our future. So we have come to the end of this video. Look forward for your comment on this subject. And please like and subscribe our channel, and we'll see you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. comes with tripod ready, comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and namaskar. Today we are discussing about the neutron stars. Neutron stars are essentially giant atomic nuclei, but even they have a limit to how much mass they can pack into a tiny space. When they cross that threshold, they stop being a star and start becoming the most mysterious object in existence, and that is the black hole. In today's video, we are exploring the exact moment a neutron star collapses, and we break down the complex physics of stellar death into simple terms, explaining the tipping point that leads to total gravitational collapse. Let's go and discuss this further. Imagine the object the size of a city, roughly about 20 kilometers across, that contains more mass than our entire sun. If you could scoop up a single teaspoon of the material, it would weigh as much as Mount Everest. And this is known as neutron star. You know what we have heard described so far. It is the crushed, degenerated remains of a dead star held together by the most incredible force in the universe. But even these titans have breaking points. Today we are asking the question, what happens when a neutron star finally loses its battle against gravity? And why does that defeat the lead to the creation of the black hole itself? So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's move ahead. To understand the collapse, we first have to understand why they don't collapse in the first place. A neutron star isn't a burning fuel like a normal star. It's dead. So what's keeping it from imploding? It's the principle called the neutron degeneracy pressure. Think of it like this. Atoms are mostly empty space. When the star collapses, the gravity is so strong that it forces protons and electrons together until they fuse into a neutron. You end up with a giant sphere of pure, dense nuclear matter. Those neutrons hate being squashed too much together, too close together. They push back. That pushback is what creates a physical wall against the gravity. However, there is a limit to that as well. That limit is called the Tolman Oppenheimer Volkoff limit, or in other words, short TOV limit, named after the physicist who first crunched the numbers. And the TOV limit tells us that the neutron degeneracy uh, pressure can only support up to 2.1 to 2.3 times the mass of our sun. Think of it like a bridge. If you add one truck too many, the bridge fails. In the universe, if a neutron star gains mass, perhaps by stealing material from a companion star or colliding with another neutron star, it crosses that threshold. The bridge of degeneracy pressure snaps. Once that mass threshold is crossed, the game is over. The gravity stops being a force that the star can resist and become an inevitable destiny. The core begins to contract, but it doesn't just shrink, it essentially exits our observable universe because there is no known force in the laws of physics capable of stopping that contraction. The star keeps collapsing smaller and smaller and smaller. It shrinks past its own event horizon. At that point, not even light can escape the gravity. So, where does it go? Does it vanish? It doesn't disappear. It becomes a singularity, a point of infinite density, which is also known as the black hole. The material that used to be a bustling, spinning, magnetic neutron star is now permanent rip in the fabric of space-time. We call it nothingness because we can no longer see it, touch it, or send signal to it. It has essentially removed itself from our reality. The death of neutron star is the ultimate testament to the power of the gravity. It's a reminder that our universe, there are rules, and when you push those rules to the absolute limit, physics itself forces a change in the state of existence. So friends, next time you look at stars, remember, some of them aren't just sitting there, they are holding on for the dear life, balanced on a razor's edge between being a star and becoming a black hole in the fabric of space and time. Thanks for watching. If you want to dive deep into the mysterious cosmos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And friends, I will catch you again very soon in the next one. Hello friends. The big question that we want to answer today is that the next industrial revolution happening in deep space? Very profound question. While the world has been focused on the AI boom, a silent titan has been emerging in the labs. And this is known as Mars Plasma Thruster. Forget the silicon gold rush. The real treasure is being found in the vacuum of space. In today's video, we dive deep into the trillion-dollar engine and explore why plasma propulsion is no longer a science fiction, but the backbone of the next global economic era. From slashing the cost of satellites deployment to enabling sustainable deep space logistics, plasma tech is disrupting the global tech market and shifting the scales of geopolitical leadership. We break down the cosmic infrastructure that will define the 2030s and beyond. Let's go. While the world has been looking down at their phones, distracted by the latest AI chatbot and the fluctuating prices of the tech stock, a silent revolution has been brewing in the vacuum of space. We have spent the last decade obsessed with that cloud, but the next trillion-dollar industry isn't made of software. It's made of fire, or more accurately, plasma. In the history of humanity, every great economic gold rush was preceded by a breakthrough in transportation. In the 19th century, we had the steam engine, which opened up the frontiers. In the 20th century, we had the jet engine, which shrank the globe, and the entire earth is now known as a global village. But we stand here in 2026. We are facing a wall. Our current rocket technology, which is based on chemical propulsion, is essentially just a fancy way of blowing things up to push ourselves forward. It's heavy, it is inefficient, and it is the reason why the trip to Mars still feels like a suicide mission. Enter the plasma thruster, specifically the high power variant being designed for a Mars run. This isn't just a faster engine, it is a cornerstone of what we call the cosmic infrastructure. Today we are going to pull back the curtain on why this technology is the trillion-dollar engine, and why it's sparking a geopolitical and economic race that will redefine the global leadership for the next century. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. To understand the gold rush, we have to understand the tool. Most of us grew up watching the space shuttle or the Saturn V massive towers of fire. Those are the chemical rockets. They work by burning fuel to create a massive amount of thrust in a very short time. It's a great equipment for getting off the earth, But traveling through space, it's like trying to drive across a continent in a car that has 5,000 gallon tank, but only got 2 miles per gallon, right? So plasma thruster, often called the ion engines, are specifically the VASIMR, VASIMR, which stands for Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket, operate on a completely different principle. Instead of burning fuel, they use electricity, often from the solar panels or the small nuclear reactor, to turn a gas like argon or xenon into plasma. Plasma is the fourth state of matter. By using the powerful magnetic field, the engine accelerates this plasma to incredible speed, up to 50 kilometers per second. Now, here is a magic trick. A plasma engine doesn't have the raw power to lift a house off the ground, but once you are in the vacuum of space, it is the ultimate marathon runner. It can stay on for months, constantly accelerating. While a chemical rocket is a sprint, the plasma engine is a bullet train. It can cut a trip to Mars from 9 months down to just 3 months. But for the tech market, the speed isn't even the most exciting part. It is the efficiency. Because of these engines require fraction of the propellant, we can finally stop sending fuel into space and start sending payload. And in business, payload is profit. So let's talk numbers. Why $1 trillion? Right now, the space economy is valued at roughly $600 billion. Most of that is satellite GPS, satellites, communication satellite, and weather satellites, etc. Also military satellites, but we are not counting those. But there is a bottleneck. Satellites are disposable. Once they run out of fuel to stay in their proper orbit, they become expensive space junk. Plasma thruster changed the math of space logistics. Imagine a fleet of space tugs, a small plasma powered vehicle that can move from orbit to orbit, refueling satellites, repairing them, or moving them to new positions. This isn't just a niche service, it is the birth of an orbital economy. When the cost of moving things in space drops by 90%, industries that were once impossible suddenly becomes inevitable. Think about asteroid mining. A single metallic asteroid can contain more platinum and gold than has ever been mined in human history. But you can't bring a 500-ton rock back to Earth using chemical rockets. The fuel cost would bankrupt you and before you left the atmosphere. With plasma propulsion, however, you have the slow and steady torque needed to move massive amount of raw material across the solar system. And this is a tech gold rush. The winner just won't be one who finds the gold. It will be the one who owns the infrastructure, the engines that make the trade routes possible. This brings us to the showdown. Who is going to own this infrastructure? Very big question. For decades, space are playground of the superpower, the US and Russia. But the plasma revolution has leveled the playing field and at the same time raised the stakes. We are seeing a three-way race. And which are the titans? NASA and the European Space Agency are betting big on nuclear-enabled plasma propulsion for 2030's Mars mission. Who are the disruptors? Private companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, smaller startups like Ad Astra are moving at Silicon Valley speed, aiming to commercialize these thrusters for satellite constellations. And who are the new contender? Nations like India and China are aggressively investing in electrical propulsion systems. India's ISRO, for example, has become a world leader in cost-effective satellite launches. If they can crack the code on high-efficiency plasma engines, they won't just be launching satellites for others. They will be managing a high ground of the global internet and defense network. Global leadership in the 21st century is no longer just about who has the most aircraft carriers. It's about who controls the cosmic toll booths. If a nation who or a corporation owns the primary plasma transport network, they effectively control the flow of data, resources, and security for the entire planet. And this is why the Mars thruster isn't just a piece of hardware, it is a geopolitical chess piece. Now, you might be thinking this is all great for astronauts and billionaires, but what does it mean for guys like me and you, people living in Delhi, London, or New York? The tech gold rush always has a ripple effect. When we perfect the jet engines, we didn't just get faster vacations, we got global trade, overnight shipping, and a connected world. The development of Mars grade plasma thruster requires breakthrough in superconductors. Number one, to create the magnetic field needs to contain 1 million degrees of plasma. So we need very high magnetic field generators. Number two is the energy density. To power these engines, we are developing the most efficient solar and micronuclear systems ever conceived. Number three is the material science. Creating hulls that can withstand the bombardment of deep space radiation. These technologies don't stay in space. The superconductor that powers a Mars thruster today will power a fusion reactor on Earth tomorrow. The energy system designed for plasma engines will eventually provide clean, limitless power for our cities. The trillion-dollar engine is a massive R&D laboratory for the problems we face on Earth today. We aren't going to Mars to escape the Earth. We are going to Mars to invent the tool that will save it. So this is very exciting. So friends, do let me know what you feel about it. And I will catch you again in the next one. Before I go, what about our affiliate partner? Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. In a groundbreaking discovery, astronomers have captured a rare cosmic handshake. 2 blazing quasars in the process of merging. Located billions of light years away, these luminous monsters are powered by supermassive black holes that are spiraling towards each other, destined to become a single, even more powerful and massive entity. What is going on here? Let us explore this further. Imagine looking at a single point of light in the night sky. A light so bright it outshines the entire galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars. Now imagine looking closer and realizing that the single point isn't one object, it's 2. And they are rushing towards each other at millions of miles per hour. Astronomers have just confirmed one of the rarest sights in our universe, a pair of blazing quasars caught in the middle of chaotic, violent merger. This isn't just a pretty light show. It is a snapshot of the early universe, a time when the galaxies were still young and messy. Today we are going to peel back the layers of this discovery. We will talk about what is quasar actually is, how we found these 2 needle in haystack twins, and why this discovery might be a crystal ball looking into the future of our own Milky Way. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Before we can understand the collision, we have to understand the titans involved here. The word quasar, which is in short for quasi-stellar radio source, to the early telescope of the 1960s, they looked like stars, but they behaved like monsters. At the heart of every quasar is a supermassive black hole, but the black hole itself isn't the light you see. Black hole by definition don't let light escape. Instead, the glow came from the accretion disk, and as the black hole's gravity pull in massive amount of gas, dust, and even entire stars, that material spins around the center like water goes down the drain. The friction and the gravity heat this material to millions of degrees, causing it to glow with more energy than thousands of galaxies combined. They are the ultimate cosmic lighthouses, visible from very edge of the observable universe. When we see a quasar, we are seeing a black hole that is feeding. Finding a single quasar is hard. Finding two that are merging is nearly impossible. Why? Because they are so far away that they are usually appear as single blurry dot. But recently, a team of astronomers using the Gaia Space Observatory noticed something strange. Gaia is designed to track the positions of stars with incredible precision. While looking at the known quasars, they noticed a jiggle. The light wasn't moving in space, but its intensity was flickering back and forth between 2 points, like a railroad crossing signal seen from a distance. To confirm their suspicions, they called in the big guns, the Hubble Space Telescope and the Gemini North Telescope in Hawaii. Hubble's sharp eyes revealed that this wasn't just a trick of light or gravitational lensing, where a closer galaxy acts as a magnifying glass. No, these were two distinct massive galaxies, each with its own feeding black holes at the center, physically bound by gravity. They are currently separated by only about 10,000 light years, which in cosmic terms is like two people standing on opposite sides of the living room. This specific pair of quasars is special because of when we are seeing them, because the light takes time to travel. Looking deep into space is like looking back in time. We are seeing these quasars as they were just 900 million years after the Big Bang. This puts them squarely in the epoch of reionization. This was the cosmic dawn, the era when the very first stars and galaxies were turning on and clearly moving away from the cold, dark hydrogen fog that filled the early universe. Seeing two quasars merging this early tells us that supermassive black holes didn't just grow slowly over billions of years, they grew through violence. They grew by eating each other. This discovery helps scientists refine their simulations of how the universe evolved from a hot soup of particles into a structured web of galaxies that we see today. You might be wondering, that's 12 billion years ago. Why does it matter to us now? Well, the Great Cosmic Collision is a preview of our own destiny. Right now, our galaxy, the Milky Way, is on a collision course with our neighbor, the Andromeda Galaxy. In about 4 to 5 billion years, our two galaxies will begin the same dance these quasars are doing right now. Our own central black hole Sagittarius A star, which is currently quiet and not feeding, might wake up during the merger. And as gas from the Andromeda gets shoved into our galactical center, our black hole could ignite, turning a Milky Way into a blazing quasar for distant alien astronomers to see. The two quasars we're talking about today have likely already finished their merger. In the now of the universe, they are probably one single gargantuan elliptical galaxy with one massive black hole at its core. we are just not catching the echoes of their ancient battle. It reminds us that the universe is not static place. It's a dynamic, evolving, and often violent masterpiece. Every time we find a pair like this, we add another piece to the puzzle of where we came from, where the cosmos is going, etc. So, friends, thanks for joining in on this journey across space and time. If you want to keep exploring the wonders of the universe, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, please keep looking up. Before I part ways, a word from our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Beneath the quiet wisdom of Jain philosophy, Mahavir carved the pathway into the infinite, teaching humanity how to unlock the hidden roots of number. His method for square and the cube roots were not a mere calculation. They were the keys of dimensions, volume, and the architecture of possibility. Centuries later, as the rocket rises and the colonies take shape beyond Earth, his legacy resurfaces in a dazzling reference. In 2026, when engineers measure domes on Mars or chart a spacecraft through the gravitational wells, they echo the same roots Mahavir once revealed. From ancient manuscripts to cosmic frontiers, his mathematics became the bridge, binding the silence of past with the roar of the future and proving that the roots of numbers are also the roots of destiny. So let's find out more about this. In the quiet corridors of ancient India, centuries before the telescope pierced the heavens, Mahavir of the Jain tradition was unraveling mysteries of numbers. His genius lay not in the abstract speculations alone, but in the practical method, systematic way of calculating square and cube roots. So they were not trivial exercises. They were the foundation upon which the civilization could build a precise architecture, measure land, and navigate the complexities of trade. Yet, in 2026, his legacy stretched far beyond the earthbound. It reaches into the cosmos where the humanities now dream of settlement among the stars. So, square root and the cube roots are more than a mathematical curiosities. They are the language of geometry. They are the key to understand the volume, trajectories, and the hidden harmonies of space. Mahavir's method, refined in his treatise, offered clarity in the age when the numbers are still being tamed. So today, as the spacecraft plot course through the gravitational wells, or the engineer design habitat on Mars or moons or of Jupiter's, the same principle echo. The calculating the cube root of the volume is no different in the essence when the determining the dimensions of a pressurized dome on Europa. The maths of Mahavir became the mathematics of survival. So, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, moving forward on this interesting details about Mahavir and his mathematics. So in 2026, space exploration is no longer a domain of few nations. It is a collective human endeavor. Private companies, international collaborations, and the AI-driven research coverage to push the boundaries. And at the heart of every trajectory, every orbital calculation lies the need to extract roots, to balance the equation, to tame the infinity into unusable form. So Mahavir's contribution reminds us that the tools we wield today are not inventions of present alone, but are inheritance from mind that saw the order in the chaos centuries ago. So consider the cube root, the silent architect of a three-dimensional understanding. For Mahavir, it was a way to measure the unseen, to give form to the intangible. For space settler, it is the measure of oxygen tanks and the volume of hydroponic chambers and the capacity of a spacecraft fuel cell. So without such calculation, the dreams of living beyond Earth collapse into fantasy. With them, it becomes the engineering. Mahavir's roots are the root of possibilities. But beyond the technical lies the philosophical also. Now, the Jain thought, with its emphasis on non-violence and multiplicity of viewpoints and the cosmic order, offers a moral compass for faring humanity. As we extend settlement into the alien world, the question is not only how we calculate, but how we coexist. So going forward, with coexist with each other. With ecosystem we may encounter with the responsibilities of stewardship. Mahavir's mathematics was born of worldview that sought harmony, and in 2026 harmony is vital as propulsions. The story of Mahavir is not confined to the dusty manuscript. It is alive. It is in the algorithm guiding the rovers, in the simulations of planetary bases, in the AI models of predicting cosmic weather. So his square roots and the cube roots are the silent equations behind every launch, every orbit, every settlement. So they remind us that the future is built on the past, that the stars we reach for are illuminated by the wisdom of those who first taught us to measure. So as humanity prepares to plant its flag beneath the twin suns or the Martian soil, Mahavir's legacy whisper through the numbers that the roots are not merely calculation but pathways from earth to sky, from ancient thoughts to futuristic settlement. And in 2026, as rockets rise and the colonies take shape, we are not just exploring space, we are expanding the vision of Jain mathematician who saw in numbers the architecture of infinity, of destiny. So as humanity prepares to carve the settlements beyond Earth, Mahavir's legacy reminds us that the roots of numbers are also the roots of progress. His square and the cube roots method, born in ancient India, now echoes the calculation of spacecraft trajectories, the volume of Martian dooms, and the dimension of lunar habitat. In 2026, when the engineers and explorers measure the unknown, they are guided by the same principle that Mahavir once inscribed centuries ago. His mathematics is not confined to a manuscript, it is alive in every equation that carries us from Earth to the stars. And the Jain mathematician's vision become our compass, proving that from roots we rise and from numbers we build a future as vast as the cosmos itself. So we have come to the end of this video. We look forward for your comments on this information. Please like and subscribe our channel. Look forward in the next one. But before we end this video, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Stop! Before you hit the delete channel button or give up on your next upload, you need to watch this. Most creators quit YouTube exactly 3 feet from the gold. They see flat lines in their analytics and assume they are failing. But in reality, they are simply in a ghost phase, the period where the algorithm tests your consistency and your skills are being sharpened for the big break. In this video, we dive deep into the psychology of the content creation and why 0 views might actually be your biggest competitive advantage. How? Let us discuss this further. You are checking your phone again. It's been 3 hours since you uploaded your latest video and the one you spent all weekend editing. You have refreshed the studio app 10 times and the number hasn't budged. 4 views, 2 of which were probably you. The thought starts creeping in. Is this even worth it? You see other creators blowing up overnight and you feel like you are shouting into a void. You are ready already to quit, but before you hit that delete channel button, I need you to understand one thing. You aren't failing. You are actually in the most important phase of your journey. Most creators quit exactly 3 feet from the goal. Today I'm going to show you why nobody is watching is actually your secret weapon and why your biggest breakthrough is like hidden right behind the urge to give up. Let's dive in. But before, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in. and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of a channel. I would also know who's watching and who's not. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is the algorithm. We talk about it like it's a sentient being that hates us. It doesn't, but it's a system built on trust. When you are a new creator or you're trying to pivot, you enter what I call the ghost phase. Think about it. Why would YouTube push your content to millions of people if you are only person you can stay consistent for only 2 weeks? The algorithm is testing two things: your competence and your consistency. During this ghost phase, you have a massive advantage that no big creator has, which is freedom to fail. When nobody is watching, you can experiment, you can find your voice, you can mess up the lighting, and you can make terrible jokes without hundreds and thousands of people judging you. This is your training ground. You are not being ignored, you are being incubated. This is the concept from the book Atomic Habits, called the plateau of latent potential. We expect progress to be in a straight line up. We think if I put in X amount of work, I should see X amount of views. But the growth on YouTube is exponential, not linear. You spend months, maybe years, working in the valley of disappointment, and this is where you are putting in the work, but the result aren't showing yet. You are building the foundation. It's like bamboo tree. It grows underground for 5 years, developing a massive root system, and then it shoots up 80 feet in 6 weeks. So if you quit during the root building phase, the tree will never grow. Every video you make into a flop is actually a root. It's a data point. It's a lesson. It's one step closer to the 80-foot breakthrough. So why do most creators quit right before they win? It's because of the psychological phenomena called cognitive friction. The effort required to make a video feels much higher than the reward of 10 views. To survive this, you have to shift your win condition. If your win condition is to get 1000 views, you get 50, you feel like as if you have lost it. You feel defeated. But if your win condition is like getting 1% better at color grading, or write a more compelling hook, or you do that, you have won already, right? I mean, if you do all of these core competencies, regardless of the view counts, don't you think so? Winning on YouTube is a war of attrition. The pros aren't necessarily the most talented people on the platform. They are the one who refuse to go away. They stayed in the game long enough for the luck to find them. Because on YouTube, luck is just where the preparation meets the long enough timeline. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm not saying that you should keep doing exactly the same thing if it is not working. There is a difference between quitting and pivoting. If you have made 50 videos and they all have 0 views, don't quit YouTube. Change your strategy. Maybe your thumbnails are weak. Maybe your intros are too slow. Use the silence to audit yourself. When nobody is watching, you have the lowest stakes possible to reinvent yourself. Don't you think so? So ask yourself, am I making content for me, or am I making content that solves a problem or provide value for someone else? Once you align your passion with audience's need, the nobody watching problems start to disappear. The hardest part of YouTube isn't the editing or the SEO. It is the mental game. It is showing up on Tuesday morning to film a video when your last 3 uploads tanked. But remember this, every major creator you admire today, from Mr. Beast to MKBHD, had a period where they were talking making videos, but generating 0 interest, 0 views. They felt exactly how you feel right now. The only difference between them and millions of abandoned channels is that they decided to post one more time. Your breakout video is already in your head. It's coming. It's going to come, definitely. But you can't find your it cannot find you if you weren't there to upload it, right? So don't quit. Just get 1% better today. So friends, what do you think? If you have any question or if you want to know more, please leave a comment below and I will see you again in the next one. Before I take your leave, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
For centuries, lightning has been regarded as a terrestrial phenomena, awe-inspiring but earth-bound spectacle of raw energy. Right? I think you must have seen it. Sometimes it creates ripples in your heart. Sometimes you enjoy the spectacle. It strikes across the sky, illuminating the storm clouds, rattling windows, reminding humanity of nature's, which is untamed power. Yet, in the recent years, scientists have begun to uncover a startling truth. Lightning is not confined to Earth, influencing the delicate balance of space weather that governs satellites, communication system, and even the safety of astronauts. The breakthrough actually came from a small NASA satellite, modest in size and but monumental in ambition. Unlike the towering rockets or sprawling observation that often dominates the headlines, this satellite was designed with a precision, simplicity, and its mission definitely was study the electromagnetic fingerprints of lightning and trace how these pulses interact with ionosphere and the charged layer of Earth's upper atmosphere and beyond. Into a vastness of near Earth space, what it discovered actually had sparked a revolution in our understanding of space weather. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching, because that will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, lightning is, it turned out, is more than a flash of light and a crackle of thunder. Each bolt sends electromagnetic waves and racing upwards, piercing the ionosphere like invisible arrow. And this wave, known as whistlers for these airy and descending tones, when captured by radio receivers, can travel thousands of kilometers along the Earth's magnetic field lines, and in doing so they disturb the charged particles and alter radiation bands and create a cascading effect that ripple through the space environment. For decades, space weather was thought to be driven primarily by solar activity, the flares, the coronal mass ejections, the solar winds that actually enters or disturbs the Earth's magnetosphere. While the sun remains the dominant force, lightning has now emerged as a hidden partner in its cosmic dance. So So, as NASA satellite revealed that the terrestrial storm contribute to the fluctuation in radiation level around the Earth, certainly shapes the condition faced by satellites and spacecraft. In essence, every thunderstorm is a participation in the grand theater of space weather. So, thus, implication was profound communication network and GPS system and power grid all actually are kind of forced, kind of have a were very softness to the space weather disruption. So, by recognizing lightning role, the scientists can redefine predictive model and offering more accurate warning to industries and governments. A storm in the Midwest may not only ground the flight or knock out the local power, it may also send ripples into the orbit, affecting the satellite that guides ship across the ocean and monitor climate change. So, beyond the practical, there is a poetic resonance to this discovery. So, lightning, along a symbol of divine wrath or a natural chaos, is now revealed as a bridge between earth and space. It connects the terrestrial and celestial, reminding us that the boundaries are imagined between sky and cosmos, and that are these are porous. So the flash that terrifies a child at night or inspire a poet verses is also a signal in the grand circuitry of the universe. And this revolution actually made lot of difference, you know. So and this revolution is not merely scientific; it is also cultural. By reframing lightning as a space weather agent, humanity is inviting to see storm differently. So they are also isolated tempest, but nodes in the planetary system that extend the outward to the stars. The small NASA satellite has given us a new lens, one that transform every thundercloud into a participant in the cosmic dynamics. So, as recent research actually continues, we may find that lightning holds further secrets, perhaps influencing auroras, perhaps interacting with the cosmos rays, or perhaps even shaping the long-term evolution of Earth's magnetosphere. So, what is certain is that the spark has been lit and a revolution is underway, one that begins with a flash in the sky and extends into the infinite expanse of space. So we have come to the end. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe our channel. Do send your comments on this topic. See you in the next one. But before we end this particular live stream, a few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In an age when the heavens were still clogged in myth and the earth was thought to stand still, Aryabhat dared to imagine a universe in motion. Born in 476 CE, he became the architect of cosmic revolution, weaving mathematics and astronomy into a vision that defied centuries of belief. With Aryabhatiya, he revealed that the earth spin upon its axis, that the eclipses are not divine omens but predictable shadow, and that the numbers 0 above all holds the key to infinity. So let's find out more. In the twilight of Gupta age, when the India was crucible of intellectual ferment, Aryabhat emerged as a voice that dared to redefine the cosmos. Born in 476 CE, he composed Aryabhatiya, a compact yet profound treatise that stitched together mathematics, astronomy, philosophy into a single tapestry of knowledge. His vision was not confined to numbers and stars. It was a declaration that human thought could reach beyond tradition and touch the infinite. Aryabhat's contributions were revolutionary. He proposed that Earth rotates on its axis, explaining the apparent movement of heavens, a concept that would not be widely accepted in Europe until Copernicus, nearly a millennium later. He calculated the length of the solar year with remarkable precision, devised method for predicting eclipse, and introduced trigonometric function that remain foundational to mathematics even today. His place value system and the use of zero were not mere abstractions. They became the very essential upon which the modern computation rests. But Aryabhat was more than a mathematician or an astronomer. He was a philosopher of science, insisting that the observation or calculation and the reason must be guide to understanding. And in doing so, he embodied a spirit of inquiry that resonates powerfully in 2026 as humanity stands at the threshold of interplanetary exploration, grappling with the artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and the climate modeling. Aryabhat's legacy reminds us that the bold ideas often precede the tool to prove them, and his heliocentric learning and his leaning towards that were not validated by telescope but by courage, the courage to imagine a universe larger than the prevailing dogma. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, in 2026, his impact is felt in multiple dimensions. The algorithm that drives AI echoes his mathematical ingenuity, and the orbital mechanics guided spacecraft trace their lineage to his astronomical insight. His insistence on precision and systematic thinking mirror the demand of modern data science. And his philosophical courage, questioning orthodoxy, embracing uncertainty, offer a model for navigating the ethical dilemmas of AI, biotechnology, and planetary journey. So beyond science, Aryabhat's story is, of course, is like a cultural beacon. In an era when the decolonizing knowledge is a global imperative, his work reclaimed India's place in the history of ideas. It challenges the narrative that the scientific revolution were born solely in Europe, remind us that innovation has always been a shared human endeavor. For a young learner in 2026, Aryabhat is not just a figure of past but a symbol of possibility. Proof that imagination can bend the arc of history. Looking ahead, we will definitely find his legacy inspiring and vision of science as both rigorous and humane. Just as Aryabhat's calculation seeded centuries of progress, our own innovation must serve not only the exploration but also equity. His work whispers across the time that the rotation of the earth is not just a cosmic fact but a metaphor of continuity, and that knowledge is like a planet itself, must keep turning, renewing and expanding. Thus the Aryabhat contribution are not a relic of antiquity. They are living principles, and in 2026 and beyond, as we chart course to Mars, harness AI, and confront planetary crisis, his voice reminds us that science is a journey of courage, precision, and imagination. His heliocentric vision was a revolution of the perspective, and the challenge is now it is to carry that revolution. It is a challenge of the new generation of 2026, and definitely to go beyond the star or find the future in interplanetary journey, and of course venture into the unknown. So this is what we want to share about Aryabhat and his contribution. We look forward. What you think about Aryabhat's vision, and you should also understand that Aryabhat's vision was not bounded by the centuries in which he lived. It was a spark that continued to illuminate the corridors of the science. His calculations of planetary motion and his embrace of zero, and his insistence on reason over ritual, so were more than intellectual feats, and they were also act of courage that reshaped humanity's understanding of the cosmos. So in 2026, as we decode genomes and harness the artificial intelligence and prepare to step into the other words, Aryabhat's legacy remind us that the progress begins with the perspective. And and definitely his revolutionary ideas were more of a thought, and our must be one of the imagination. We should work on our imagination. We should work on the ethics, and we should be very brave to go for an exploration. So the earth still spin as he foretold, and with its spin, the wheel of discovery, Aryabhat's voice echoes across the time, and that the universe is vast, the truth is measurable, and that the generation must find the courage to look up, calculate their dreams. So we have come to the end of this discussion. We look forward for your comments on this discussion, and please like and subscribe our channel, and we look forward to see you again. But before we end, a few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Hello friends. In the high-stake world of corporate leadership, volatility is the only constant. But what separates a good leader from an unshakable one? In this video, we explore the profound wisdom of Bhagavad Gita and its direct application to the modern CEOs and different high leadership executives. We dive deep into the concept of samadhi, not as a mystical retreat, but as the ultimate state of the mental clarity and decision making. Let us proceed further on this thought.
हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कार। आप सबका स्वागत है। क्या आप एक सीईओ या बिजनेस लीडर हैं और हर दिन चुनौतियों का सामना कर रहे हैं? तो आप सही जगह पहुंचे हैं, क्योंकि इस वीडियो में हम भगवद गीता की सहायता लेंगे और आपकी इस सिचुएशन का आंसर ढूंढने की कोशिश करेंगे। हम ये जानेंगे कि जो सीख मिलती है हमें भगवद गीता से, वो एक मंत्र युद्ध क्षेत्र में एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं है, बल्कि हर एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए एक जीवन दर्शन है जो आपकी टीम का नेतृत्व में करने में सहायता करता है। चाहे जीत हो या हार, एक लीडर को अपनी निष्ठा, कर्म पर कैसे निगाह रखनी चाहिए, हम इस वीडियो में सीखेंगे और इसके बारे में और डिस्कशन करेंगे। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आजकल के दुनिया में, आजकल के परिप्रेक्ष्य में हम ऐसी एक रेस में हैं जहां जीतना ही सब कुछ है, जीतना ही अनिवार्य है। एक सीईओ के तौर पे आप हर सुबह एक नई चुनौती, एक नए संकट और एक नए डर के साथ उठते हैं। क्या ये मर्जर काम आएगा? मार्केट शेयर बढ़ेगा? क्या मेरी टीम परफॉर्म करेगी? हम सब अक्सर एक तनाव में जीते हैं। अगर मैं हार गया तो क्या होगा? अगर ये डिसीजन गलत हो गया तो क्या होगा? लेकिन आज मैं आपके साथ बिजनेस का एक ऐसा सीक्रेट कोड शेयर करने वाला हूं जो 5000 साल पहले महाभारत के रण क्षेत्र में दिया गया था। यह सिर्फ एक श्लोक ही नहीं, एक आधुनिक कॉर्पोरेट जगत का सबसे बड़ा रिस्क मैनेजमेंट टूल है। ध्यान से सुनिएगा। आज हम चर्चा करेंगे भगवत गीता के अध्याय 2 श्लोक 37, चैप्टर 2 वर्स 37 की। और इस श्लोक आपको सिखाएगा कि कैसे विन विन माइंडसेट के साथ आप अपनी कंपनी और अपने जीवन को लीड कर सकते हैं। तो आइए पहले श्लोक को हम पढ़ लेते हैं। भगवान कृष्ण अर्जुन से कहते हैं, एंड द कोट स्टार्ट्स, यदि तुम लड़ते हुए हार भी गए तो तुम्हें स्वर्ग मिलेगा। यानी आपको वो अनुभव और सीख मिलेगी जो आपको उच्च स्तर का लीडर बनाएंगे और आपको ऊंचाई पे ले जाएंगे। और यदि तुम जीत गए तो इस पृथ्वी पर सुख भोगोगे, यानी सफलता, प्रॉफिट एंड मार्केट लीडरशिप आपकी होगी। तो ये आपको बता रहा है कि दोनों ही सिचुएशन में विन विन है। तो दोस्तों, अगर आप यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं तो आप बताइए कमेंट करके कि किस सिटी से आप हमारे इस वीडियो को देख रहे हैं। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। हम सब ने इस वर्ष को सुना, जरा रुकिए और सोचिए, भगवान कृष्ण यहाँ अर्जुन से क्या कह रहे हैं? वो कह रहे हैं कि हारने का विकल्प ही खत्म कर दो। अर्जुन, कृष्ण के लिए हार जैसा कुछ है ही नहीं। अगर तुम हारते हो तो तुम कुछ सीखते हो, अगर तुम जीतते हो तो तुम कुछ हासिल करते हो। तो सीईओ के तौर पे क्या आपकी लाइफ में हार जैसी कोई चीज है या नहीं? अगर कोई प्रोजेक्ट फेल होता है तो आप एक लीडर के रूप में विकसित होते हैं, आप नई चीजें सीखते हैं, अपनी असफलता से आगे बढ़ते हैं। अगर सफल होते हैं तो आपकी कंपनी विकसित होती है। तो इस श्लोक में हमें अपनी कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ को कैसे लागू करें, किस तरह से अपना माइंडसेट करें, इस चीज की हमें सीख दी गई है। तो इसमें मुख्य हमें क्या सीख मिल रही है? नंबर 1 इज डर का अंत। जब आप स्वीकार कर लेते हैं कि सीखना भी एक जीत है तो डर खत्म हो जाता है। एक सीईओ को जो डर में फैसला लेता है वो कभी बड़े रिस्क नहीं ले पाता। तो गीता आपको सिखाती है कि रिस्क लेना ही आपका धर्म है। नंबर 2, परिणाम से डिटैचमेंट। डिटैचमेंट जो आउटकम है, जो रिजल्ट है, उससे डिटैच हो जाइए आप। भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं कि
यानी कि अगर आप लड़ना ही नहीं करेंगे तो आपको कोई परिणाम मिलेगा ही नहीं। तो आप लड़िए, अगर आप हारते हैं तो कुछ सीखते हैं, और अगर आप जीतते हैं तो आप डेफिनेटली सक्सेस पाते हैं। लेकिन हार जीत आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, तो क्यों उस बारे में सोचना। 100% आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं होता, आपको अपना कर्म करना होता है, कर्तव्य करना होता है। लेकिन क्या हार मिलेगी क्या जीत, इसका फैसला कोई नहीं कर सकता। इसका फैसला सिर्फ यूनिवर्स के हाथ में है, जो हमारे कंट्रोल से बाहर है। अब तीसरा होता है विन विन फॉर्मूला। आज की दुनिया में हम विन लॉस के बारे में सोचते हैं। मुझे जीतना है हर हालत में, सामने वाले को हारना है हर हालत में। लेकिन गीता आपको क्या ज्ञान देती है? विन विन का क्या मतलब है? अपनी ड्यूटी मतलब अपना कर्म आपको पूरा करना है, अपनी पूरी क्षमता के साथ मैदान में उतरें, बाकी परिणाम अपने आप संभल जाएगा, अपने आप यूनिवर्स आपको दे देगा, आपके एक्शन के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है वो। तो कल सुबह जब आप ऑफिस जाएं तो ये 3 चीजें अपने साथ लेके जाएं। मैं बुलेट पॉइंट्स की तरह आपको ये दे रहा हूं। पॉइंट नंबर 1, अपने हर प्रोजेक्ट को एक धर्म युद्ध की तरह देखें। यह आपकी जिम्मेदारी है। जब आप इसे जिम्मेदारी की तरह देखेंगे तो आप हारने से नहीं डरेंगे, आप सिर्फ अपनी ड्यूटी निभाने पर फोकस करेंगे। बुलेट पॉइंट नंबर 2, अपने फेलियर्स को हेवनली गेन के रूप में देखें। हर बड़ी कंपनी जो आज लीडर है, उसने सैकड़ों बार फेलियर का स्वाद चखा है। उन फेलियर्स को स्टार्टअप या लर्निंग की तरह देखा जाए। बुलेट पॉइंट नंबर 3, निर्णय लेने में देरी ना करें। श्लोक के अंत में भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं, उठो यानी एक्शन लो। एनालिसिस में फंसे रहोगे तो मैदान में कब उतरोगे? दोस्तों, एक सीईओ के रूप में सबसे बड़ी पूंजी आपकी मानसिक स्टेट ऑफ माइंड है, मानसिक स्थिरता है। अगर आप हार के डर से जकड़े हुए हैं तो आप कभी बड़ी ऊंचाइयों को हासिल नहीं कर पाएंगे। आज से अपनी डिक्शनरी में फेलियर शब्द को हटा दीजिए और आप ये समझ लीजिए कि आप जीतेंगे, हर हाल में जीतेंगे। और अपने जो थॉट प्रोसेस है उसको अपग्रेड करिए। तो इसमें भगवान बोलते हैं कि उठो, फाइट करो और जीतो। अगर आपको ये विन विन श्लोक का जो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है बिजनेस फील्ड में अगर पसंद आया है तो कमेंट करके ये लिखें कि मैं तैयार हूँ, और हाँ मैं तैयार हूँ, ये कमेंट करके आप मेरे पास भेजें। और अगर आपको लगता है कि गीता का ज्ञान बिजनेस में उतारने के लिए आप और डिटेल चाहते हैं तो ज़रूर हमसे संपर्क करें। माय नेम इज सीके। जल्दी ही मिलता हूँ दूसरी सीख लेके आपके साथ। तब तक उठो, लड़ो और जीतो। धन्यवाद।
The idea of robots living alongside us has been belonged to the realm of science fiction. Yet today it is edging into the reality. With the debut of AI-powered robot designed specially for home use, the boundary between futuristic imagination and everyday life is dissolving. These machines are no longer confined to factory floors or research labs. They are stepping into kitchen, living room, bedroom, promising to transform the domestic routine. The debut of AI robots for domestic use is not just a technological milestone, it is a cultural one also. It sparks curiosity, inspires hope, ignites debate. So, are we welcoming helpful assistants into our lives or surveillance device disguised as a companion? The answer may shape not only the future of our household but also the broader relationship between human and intelligent machine. Artificial intelligence has begun to step out of the research lab and corporate offices into the most intimate of the space, our home. So debut of AI powered domestic robots marks a turning point in consumer technology, one that blends convenience with controversy. So these machines are designed to handle everyday tasks, tidying rooms, monitoring energy use, assisting with cooking, or even offering companionship. And this appeal lies in the promise of freeing up time, reducing household stress, and creating a seamless, smart living environment. For many consumers, the idea of robot that can anticipate the need and act autonomously and feel natural is the next step after smart speakers and connected appliances. Yet the excitement is tempered by uneasy, and that is privacy debate over flared almost immediately. Unlike a vacuum robot that simply mop your floor plans, and these new AI robots can equipped with advanced sensory cameras, microphones. So they don't just clean, they observe, interpret, and learn. That means that they are constantly collecting data from household routine, personal habits, even private conversations. So for some, this feels like inviting a surveillance device into the living room. The questions become: who owns that data and how securely is it stored? So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, the consumer interest is undeniable. Early demonstrations have drawn crowds, and pre-order suggests a strong demand. Families imagine robot that can help elderly relatives, parents, and vision assistants with the childcare, and the professionals see value in delegating some routine work. So, but alongside with enthusiasm, the critics warn of the risk of dependency and erosion of boundaries. So, if a robot can recognize emotions, respond to the stress, and adapt to the personal preferences, does it cross into the territories of replacing human interaction? So, and if the companies monetize the insight gathered from these robots, does the home cease to be a private sanctuary? So this tension between innovation and intrusion defines the current debate. On one hand, AI robot for home use could actually revolutionize the domestic life. It can provide easiness in the domestic life, making home safer, more efficient, and more responsive. On the other hand, they raise profound ethical questions about autonomy, consent, and surveillance. The debut of these robots is not just a technological milestone, it is a cultural one too. It actually forces society to grapple with what we value more: convenience or privacy, automation or intimacy. For now, the spotlight remains on consumer curiosity. The allure of futuristic living is strong, and many are eager to experiment. But as adoption spread, the conversation will inevitably shift from novelty to accountability. The home, once the most private space, is becoming the next frontier for AI, and how we navigate this frontier will shape not only our domestic life but also our broader relationship with technology. The arrival of AI robots in our home is more than a technical upgrade. It is definitely, as we are discussing, cultural shift. These machines promise efficiency, they also promise safety, and even the companionship, yet they are that is a challenge of our notion of privacy, intimacy within the household. So as consumer embrace this, and society must also confront the deeper questions: how much of our personal lives are we willing to share with the machines, and who ultimately control that information? So that is that whether they become a trusted helper or controversial intruders will depend only on the technological itself, but also value we choose to uphold as we invite artificial intelligence into our most private corners of our lives. So we have come to the end. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe our channel, and see you in the next one. But before we close this live streaming, few words about our affiliate partner.